And now on Who's Views, it's time for the latest headlines with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello, Who viewers, how are you doing? Yes, it is us with another one of your big shows. It's headlines, and indeed, it is Saturday, the 31st of January, 2026. How are you? Hope you are well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And a really big conversation coming up your way this evening in tonight's show. It was so big. Yeah, again, we had to do a headlines weekend. You've got headlines tonight, and you've got headlines tomorrow night at your usual Sunday time of 8 o'clock here on the channel. It's all up for you on the show page, so make sure you've liked it, make sure you've set that bell, all the stuff that you need to do. Have you heard? Well, you probably have, but the BBC has been told to stop with the woke tick boxing diversity casting. By whom, I hear you cry? Well, by the BBC. There is lots to talk about in this now. We're going to be looking at the full report and some of the, let's say, the fallout from it as well with certain people in the industry. But as ever, can't do this just with myself. So please welcome two headlines this evening. It's our Paul. Hello.
Hello there. How you doing?
Good, thank you. I'm really excited about this show.
So am I. I love the fact the BBC are doing it to themselves again. That's interesting.
I know, it really, really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to get that into a second. Let's just see who's in the chat with us as well. Rory Neal is saying to us already, Paul, that the BBC will never stop being woke. Yeah, there's an element of what we'll come to in the show, Rory, which may actually prove that you're right, because we are dealing, of course, with a very ill, mentally unbalanced, alleged entertainment industry here in the United Kingdom. Awful. And it all seems to be run by extreme far left lovies who live in bloody Islington in London. Do you know what I mean? They do my nutting. But you'll see more of that through this show. John Roberts is with us saying evening to us. Hello.
Evening.
And what's this from Bill? Can you imagine how much stuff you would have to work with if Doctor Who was any good at the moment and on TV? Yeah, that would be brilliant, Bill, if I was really invested in it and it was brilliant and it was still on telly and there was decent merchandise. I'd be skint.
Yeah.
Digital for Rome, nice to see you. JT, you are the essential Who's View spice. Oh, I shall dress up in a Union Jack dress like that. Remember, like
Jerry Halliwell, yeah. Jerry Halliwell, yeah. Lovely outfit, yes, yeah.
Oh, look at this. The Ian and Paul show without you had an Alcoholics Anonymous vibe. That's brilliant. Thank you for that, Digital for Terrible. Stephen Braddock's with us. Mark McIntosh is with us as well. Hello all, says John Mason. Hello, John. How are you? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. This is a private account is back with us. Nice to see you, mate. Putting identity politics before story and bringing everyone together is sad to see.
Yeah, yeah.
And John Keeley, thank you for your super chat straight up here. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you, the John Keeley. Hope all are well. The BBC, unfortunately, will never stop ticking those agenda boxes. Do you know, John, I was thinking about this today when I'm adding stuff to this show tonight and getting it ready. And Paul, I actually thought the only time they would really stop ticking boxes possibly is if they actually were told you're not getting any more license fee, and they would have to fight for the money for a subscription.
Yeah, that would make a real difference, because they would have to work for it, because they realise it has to be entertainment, not just preachy nonsense. That's the thing, you know.
Yeah, and that would probably scare them, because they wouldn't know what to do, would they? And they're not as big as Paramount, who seems to be able to, preach via Star Trek, Starfleet Academy, for example.
I've heard so much about that. Yeah, that's a show in itself. Yeah.
And Matt the Silence with us saying, tip boxing leaks into kids shows too, as I found out, as well as historical ones. Matt, stay with us, because I'm going to be illustrating that in this show. Hartnell's Ghost, it's good to see you. Evening, JT and Paul. Like most viewers, I'm fed up of waiting DEI tick boxing. Yeah. Again, I'm hoping that we're going to be discussing that through the show, Hartnell's Ghost, because I really believe the tide is turning with the British public at this time, as we're broadcasting live rather. And Stephen Braddock's with us, and I don't know what he means by this. It's the new two Ronnies.
Yeah, they are.
What do you
So
mean
I
by
thought
that?
I mocked him and got confused there. Yeah. So
Hello, Georgia. Good to see you, lovely. And we've also got the Forbidden Man with us. Hello, sir. How are you? The BBC is trying to get its hooks into YouTube, who I hope tell them to get lost. Well, yeah, we've reported in the last couple of weeks about the YouTube deal that the BBC now has. 50 channels the BBC is going to have, and you're going to have a license fee to access them. Let's put that out there. You are going to be classing it as live television, Paul.
well, the thing about that is you just don't have to watch their programming. That'll solve that problem, won't it? So
avoid like the plague, I say, everybody.
yeah.
Merry old soul, Gigglesmith, good to see you. The BBC wants more diversity, which just means less white people.
Mhm.
Yeah, that could be. Stephen O'Neill saying good evening from a rainy Wigan.
It's always raining in Wigan, I've heard. Yeah.
It's always raining in Wigan, isn't it? Kirsty's with us as well. Hello, Kirsty. How are you, darling? Who's views one at gmail.com. She's reminding us. Thank you so much, Kirsty. You're absolutely right. Who's views one at gmail.com, which reminds me at the top of the show right now, I'd just like to actually, has anybody heard from Just Jordan, one of our regular viewers? Has anybody heard from her? The last time we heard from her was a few weeks ago, and she was telling us that her dad was in hospital. So is anyone in touch with her? I want to make sure she's okay because I haven't heard from her at all. Or if, JJ, you're watching this on a playback, just drop me a message, whosviews1@gmail.com, just to let me know how you and your dad are doing. Would you? Oh, thank you. I hope you're okay. Hope we're okay. So thanks, Kirst, for that. And we've got our John with us. 50 channels, and there will be not a thing worth watching on any of them.
And there won't have even repeats as well, like decent repeats, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Forbidden Man is saying if they do bring in, oh gosh, that moved very quickly. If they do bring in the license fee for YouTube, he'll be off. I think what they'll try and do, Forbidden Man, is to say you've got to have your license to watch the BBC channel. So as long as you don't subscribe to the BBC channels, this is my theory right now on the 31st of January, they can't get you because you're not accessing any more of their product pool.
Well, it's interesting you say that because before I came on tonight, I was looking through YouTube, looking at a few things, and I came across a live BBC Doctor Who channel section that had Doctor Who's scariest monsters or scariest moments kind of thing, and that was live.
Yes.
So although it's all recorded material, it's been broadcast live. That's a bit of a cheek, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's not a live program in the same sense as the news or Strictly Come Dancing or something like that. It's actually a recorded program sent out live. Whereas what we're doing now is actually live. That's a bit of a. If you look in the dictionary definition, it's taking the piss a little bit, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I think so, but I think they're using Doctor Who's YouTube to test this. This happens every Saturday night, as we've mentioned before on the show. They run something, but Paul, they're always saying it's live.
Interestingly, I think the YouTube channel's got more viewers than the Shooty series. I think, yeah. So. And it's not just a modern Who, it's classic on there as well, which says a lot, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of you in the chat with this subject already, which is great. We're going to come to it in a second. Thanks, Bill. And hi, Lex. How are you? I'm also fed up with them erasing William Shakespeare, making him into a woman. You erase the man who part of the history in the UK culture. That, in case you're outside the UK, is outrageous this week.
Yes.
We've all seen this. Again, these idiots have come along saying that Shakespeare was not just a woman, but a black woman.
Even more so a black Jewish woman, apparently. So I'm still railing about that myself. I was going to put it in my heading, but it's so ridiculous. Where's the evidence of this? Really? Come on, really?
They're grasping at straws now. We're going to see more of that when we get into the story now. Bill was also saying Helen Troy is now a black woman. Yeah, exactly. I did see that somewhere. And Frankie Stannage was with us saying, John Bishop being woke, telling the BBC that the England should boycott the World Cup, typical woke millionaire preaching. Yeah, I've seen that as well. I've seen that one. That made me laugh. I forgot, everybody, that he was apparently in Doctor Who. I'd forgotten that. But there you go.
Yeah, he was. And to be fair, he's not a very good actor. Very, very funny man, don't get me wrong. I like him as a comedian, but as an actor, he's wooden as hell, honestly. He makes Jodie look like Laurence Olivier.
They were obviously well paired together then, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, listen, the story we're going to for this evening's show here on Who's Views Headlines is, of course, this one. This broke on Thursday from The Telegraph, with the BBC told to stop tick box diversity casting. A review says production should consider their choices carefully amid claims that the corporation is too London-centric. Could it be that people are starting to wake up? Now, Paul, this was very interesting because I'm going to take you back in time a bit because I know you like a sequel.
I do. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yes. This, in sense, for us, everybody, headliners, is a sequel because our very first headline show was on the 4th of January 2024 and dealt with this subject. As you can see there, that was the thumbnail, where the BBC was denying a diet of woke bias. Do you remember this, Paul?
I do indeed, yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So this was our very first headline show, as I say, on January the 4th, 2024. And isn't it strange how things come around? Now, at that point, Hugh viewers, we were all still very close to the Star Beast and Wild Blue Yonder and the Giggle and the Church on Ruby Road. Okay.
Well remembered. You well remembered all those titles.
Thank you.
Top of the class to you. Well done.
I did well there, didn't I, everybody?
You did very well. Because you always forgot What Blue Yonder was called, I remember. That was interesting.
I always forget it. But no, I've forgotten it now, though, I'll tell you.
Yes.
But we were coming off the back of that. And the big story at that particular point was from these people. This was the Campaign for Common Sense who published this report in the UK, which actually accused the BBC of woke bias and far left leaning. So we covered that in our very first headlines back in 2024. And we were also, in that report, we also discussed what we all know. It was this.
Ah, yes.
Now, we're all going to remember this because this was showing where Doctor Who was going. This, of course, is, as the caption says there, this is Nathaniel Curtis, who was Isaac Newton in Doctor Who in the second episode. Remember this, Paul?
Yes, Well Blue Yonder, that's the one.
Yeah. So this was him playing it. Now that caused a fuss, and we reported on this as well because at the time Deadline reported that the BBC dunks on research accusing it of feeding viewers a diet of woke bias. So this was Deadline's headline with the BBC denial. So if you want to go and see the full story of that, you're looking at our very first headlines on the headlines playlist here on the channel back on January the 4th, 2024.
God, that's over 2 years ago. That's really scary, isn't it?
2 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago. We've got some super chats, Paul. Marie, hello, Marie UK. Apparently, Anne Boleyn was a trans man.
A black trans man as well, according to that Channel 4 drama. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is that. Well, what Marie UK is. That's the Six musical on Broadway, isn't it? Where that idiot Dylan Mulvaney, he's just been cast as Anne Boleyn. Yeah, no, Marie. And then what happened, of course, is that the producers of Six closed down their Twitter temporarily because the feedback was so negative. Well, fancy that. It's just stupid, isn't it? Some idiot from show business said to me, Paul, on that subject when I was saying how ridiculous it was to cast him in the role as Anne Boleyn, no matter what he's saying. Some idiot show business person came back to me and said, "You do realise that this play is written by a non-binary, don't you?" And that was an easy response for me then, viewers, wasn't it? Oh, yes, it really was. They regretted it, I'll tell you. Where was I, Paul? Oh, yes. So we're up to that particular one where we talked about this report from the Campaign for Common Sense back on January the 4th, 2024. And as I say, the BBC denied breaching its own impartiality rules, which is what it was accused of by the Campaign for Common Sense back then. Now, that brings us to the modern day and this week, and this actual report that the Telegraph were reporting on. Oh, yes, indeed. So there were other cases around at the time as well that were highlighted. This one was actually back in 2023. Now, we talked about this on our first headline show. Do you remember this one, Paul? The BBC's new Agatha Christie drama uses an allegory of colonialism in the show. Murder is Easy features a black star and includes themes from West African Yoruba, I couldn't say it that time either, culture. So this involved this gentleman Okay, this is actor David Johnson, who was cast as Luke Fitzwilliam in The Murder is Easy in 2023, the same year that Nathaniel Curtis was cast in Doctor Who's Isaac Newton, and in the same year that this happened. This is 2023's Great Expectations, with Shalom Brune Franklin playing Estella. And the BBC denied any bias casting or woke bias casting or far left casting. Well, as I say, the Telegraph told us all about this report on Thursday, and Deadline picked it up with this. The BBC has been told to avoid clunky, colourblind casting and preachy anti-colonial storylines in the drama series. How this must have shaken up various people at the BBC. We'll get into this, Paul. The article says, the BBC has been urged to rethink colourblind casting, tokenism, and preachy storylines about the UK's colonial history in scripted series, according to a major study commissioned by the broadcaster. Conducted by former BAFTA chair Anne Morrison and ex-Ofcom executive Chris Banatavla, the thematic review of portrayal and representation across BBC output found that clunky depictions of race can cause more harm than good. The 80-page report revealed audience complaints about Doctor Who casting Nathaniel Curtis as Sir Isaac Newton in the 60th anniversary special Wild Blue Yonder, as well as the 2023 Agatha Christie series Murder is Easy, which featured an allegory on colonialism. The review noted that colourblind casting was a matter of controversy for commentators and some viewers. Urging commissioners to consider their choices carefully, the report said that good intentions to increase diversity can lead to inauthentic outcomes that can sometimes be damaging to the communities they're attempting to serve. In depicting an anachronistic historical world in which people of colour are able to rise to the top of society as scientists, artists, courtiers, and lords of the realm, there may be the unintended consequence of erasing the past exclusion and oppression of ethnic minorities and breeding complacency about their former opportunities, the review said. What needs to be avoided is ethnic diversity which looks forced and tick box, and we found our interviewees of colour as empathetic on this point as those who are white. It carries on with, the report said that the BBC's efforts to measure representation should be done at a genre level rather than on a show-by-show basis. It said current measurements can lead to a sense that there needs to be a smattering of diversity in every programme, which can lead to an inauthentic portrayal. It added, in some cases, this can look clunky, particularly in scripted. Authors Morrison and Banatavla also warned against clunky attempts to boost diversity in storytelling, pointing to the Christie adaptation Murder is Easy, starring David Johnson. At the time the series aired, director Amina Gawa said that storytelling from West African Yoruba culture had informed sequences in the drama, saying it was a great allegorical story about colonialism. The thematic review said audiences are particularly unforgiving of this if it challenges their expectations of what they have switched on to see. If there's an Agatha Christie murder mystery over the Christmas period, they won't expect to be taken into anti-colonial struggles alongside the country house murder. Unless it's very skillfully done, there is a danger it will feel over-didactic and preachy, as if the viewer is being lectured or a point is being made heavy-handedly. An interview was performed by a survey of 4,518 UK adults, interviews with 100 BBC employees and observers, and an analysis of BBC content over a year-long period to the end of March 2024. It said that authenticity was critical to content resonating with audiences, with successful BBC series cited in the research, including Michaela Cole's I May Destroy You and Man Like Mobeen, created by Guz Khan. Yonder Consulting, which undertook audience research, said, in terms of what made for poor representation across the media landscape, participants across the breadth of the qualitative sample highlighted tokenistic representation of minority groups or perceived quota filling in which attempts to represent felt incongruous, overdone, or unnecessary. Kate Phillips, the BBC's chief content officer, said, as this detailed and thoughtful review notes, much has been achieved since we pledged to move more BBC production and commissioning across the UK. But what is also clear is there is still more to do, both here and across the industry. We accept that challenge and we are committed to going further to meaningfully reflect the lives of the audiences we serve. The BBC chair, Samir Shah, added, "It is vital that the BBC authentically reflects the lives of all the communities, classes and cultures across the UK. Decision-making must happen closer to audiences if we want to ensure that everyone feels represented and the BBC remains an engine for growth within the creative industries." So it seems to me that both Phillips and Shah are again out of touch and typical of the BBC, Paul.
I think part of the problem I have with this is they keep doing all these remakes of different things like Agatha Christie or Charles Dickens or whatever. If they're so embarrassed by the fact these stories were written at a time where there was less representation of people of color or whatever, then that's fair enough. But don't rehash them, don't redo them, don't change them. It's like the upcoming Harry Potter show. Aren't they going to? They're going to do. They're thinking about doing a Black Snape at one point. Is that something they were thinking about doing? At one point, and whether you want don't change the IP of a writer or a writer's vision. If you don't want to have that in it, don't change it. Do something else instead.
Yeah.
You know, and if they want representation for ethnicity, do newer productions. I have no problem with representation in some form, but changing history and changing fiction to a way just to make representation work seems a bit desperate, to be honest. Really, I have no problem with Nathaniel Curtis as an actor or the other actor in Agatha Christie. They're both very good actors. That's fine, but don't try and change history, particularly with a historical character. I find that really insulting because it does change history as well. And the BBC might be educational. Lord Reith would be turning in his grave, wouldn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, because what we're effectively doing here is going to. I mean, back in 2024, as we said, they denied that they were breaching its own impartiality rules, which includes the education side you've just mentioned. But here they are, and they've been doing it continually since 2023, possibly even beforehand. I mean, we've had Doctor Who episodes, and I think it was Stephen Moffat. Yeah, it was Stephen Moffat that came out and said that I think it was called Thin Ice, the Capaldi one. They had to show a London that couldn't just be white. And that was the DEI policy at the BBC.
Yeah.
So they are lying. They are absolutely lying as to what our British history. These are people that hate Britain, by the way. Every single one of these show business lovies hates Britain and they hate our history. And the majority of them are also embarrassed by it. You can't do anything about that. It's history. Let's learn from it. That's the beauty of history. But oh no, they have to try and rewrite it and deny things. We should be very proud of what Britain is, but they hate Britain, Paul.
What I found was interesting in Thin Ice was they have Pearl Mackie as Bill as the companion, and I don't know why they made that representation in Victorian London more black because of her character in order not to address that issue, because bizarrely when you get to Shooty's era, because he's black, then they address that in that episode Dot and Bubble that everyone's racist. You know what I mean? But so it's like it's double standards, isn't it? Really, to be honest, it's like, well, that I know they're set on a different planet, blah blah blah. But even so, it seems a bit contradictory in terms of policy. You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I do know what you mean, and it was a case of like, you know, with the whole thing with Dot and Bubble, that comes under what I would say in this report. They're saying that the BBC can be preachy.
Yeah,
that was preachy.
Yeah,
that was because it was just. All the white people looked at the alleged doctor funny because he was black. Yeah. And I've said it before, Paul, these people that we're dealing with that are producing alleged entertainment these days are exactly what they call everybody else, because they're the ones that see color of skin, religion, gender. They're the ones that see this. They're the ones that are trying to rewrite things.
But like it's bizarre though, they can do it when they want to. Because I think with Sleep No More, the other Capaldi episode, they had a trans actor in that, and the trans actor was in it, and that's fine. There was no fanfare the fact the trans actor was in it. They just appeared in it. They made no fuss whatsoever. It's one of the grunt characters who it's like a clone character, and that was played by a trans actor, which is fine. But there was no fanfare of the fact that this was a trans person, unlike when we came to Yasmin Finney. And it's like that's part of the problem. It's like. It should be, but if you wanted people to accept it, don't make such a bloody fuss, you know?
Yeah. I just thought this thing was, I mean, obviously, everybody, this is something that's going to have, well, it should have repercussions, but I've got this feeling that the BBC, in its snobbery and its ignorance, will sweep it under the carpet, even though it's something that's come from more or less their own commissioning, because they never seem to act, Paul, on any report that criticizes them or advises them. You know, they never seem to act. And I think, as a lot of you in the chat are saying, I think this is going to continue. I think we're going to see more of this. And I think they're just going to double down to say, oh, no, we can't have any of that. We mustn't allow them to have this. Even though obviously the Campaign for Common Sense report was ignored. This one, I think, is going to be ignored. And of course, us as fans for Doctor Who, we're being ignored because they're not listening at all.
It seems really weird, though, if this report was done within the BBC, what's the point of doing it if they're not going to act on it? It's like going to Ofcom or something about a complaint about a company and nothing happens. What's the point? Really, it's daft, you know?
Just before we move on, I just want to say happy birthday to Marie UK, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday. I hope you're having a lovely day. And thank you for joining us on your birthday. I'd sing, but we've got a copyright strike.
That's not to my singing, not very good, to be fair.
Mine's brilliant. There's a lot of this happening, isn't it? It's going on, viewers, isn't it, all the time? We're seeing it all. We've also seen it on the other channels as well. One of the ones that comes to mind very, very quickly is Channel 5's drama of Anne Boleyn, where Jodie Turner-Smith, a black actress, was cast as Anne Boleyn. They've all jumped on this bandwagon. Channel 5 isn't as bad, Paul, as the BBC and ITV, but entertainment, there's a sort of, I think they feel obligated to do this.
That shows how much I was paying attention to that one. I thought it was Channel 4 that one was on, but still, I remember the story. But you might be right. I think it's probably Channel 5. You're probably right. But I thought it was Channel 4. But that's my main problem with it is it's a historic character. She was a wife of Henry VIII, Anne Boleyn, wasn't she? So it's like, why is she changing ethnicity in that when it wasn't a black person? I have no problem with. I think Bridgerton does it. They have lots of faces of color in the episodes, but that's a kind of a fiction. It's not taken directly from something like Charles Dickens or history or something like that, which makes it a bit of a misrepresentation, really, in the end, because they're not telling the truth of history, which is crazy, you know.
Exactly, and that Bridgerton thing is a fantasy sort of thing as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it before. I watched the first 2 episodes and I couldn't get into it. I thought it was nonsense. I couldn't get my head around this. And when I did get my head around it sort of halfway through, oh, this isn't real. It's not supposed to be a historically accurate, which I quite like historically accurate dramas.
Yeah. That was something I saw reported in relation to this case about the Isaac Newton thing. Someone said on something, it might have been on GB News or something, they were talking about it, and it was about the fact, well, Doctor Who's a fantasy, so it's okay to have someone who's not really that colour or whatever, but it's not. It's still, the Doctor goes back in time. He never met a black Marco Polo or a black Richard the Lionheart, so that was historically accurate in the series. So don't do that. Do it with future characters, that's fine, no problem. No problem at all. But history is history, and it has to be told right and truthfully, otherwise people will be not understanding how things work, basically. So
what you've just said about there, we're going to revisit again because I've got the quote.
All right,
I know you said it, so we'll talk about that. But what got me when I was looking at it, Paul, was hang on a minute. You don't understand Doctor Who, and you don't understand the fandom, and you've just insulted us. We've had another insult thrown at Doctor Who fans because we want it accurate. We don't want a mixed race actor, no matter how good he is, in the role of something as important as Isaac Newton, just because he knows the production team.
We want a good black actor playing the Doctor. That's what we wanted.
Yeah, well,
So
welcome to Headlines. It's Saturday, it's the 31st of January. It's good to see you all. Thanks for joining us. We're talking about this report that has been released on Thursday, where the BBC have basically been told to knock it off with the tick boxing casting. Are they going to act on it? No, of course they're not. And they've got loads of stuff, I would imagine, from production companies in the can to screen throughout all this year. So this subject is going to roll on and roll on. We're certainly going to be looking at it. And it's going to be a case of like even more trouble for the BBC. Can they really afford any more? No, they bloody can't. They'll be gone by the end of this year if they're not careful with all the nonsense they're doing. Mark Greaves, been there waiting for us. Thank you for your super chat. Hey, guys, I wonder what their excuse would be for a black Anglo-Saxon lords in 1066.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. As I say, Mark, I think these people just hate Britain. And we're going to be showing something else which sort of illustrates that point. It shows you how idiotic, and to an extent, we use the word poisonous, Paul, that these people in alleged entertainment can be to the real masses.
It does seem quite sad, though. You can't be patriotic without being accused of being a racist, which is quite sad, really. But yeah,
it is. Let's go into the chat, see what the guys are saying in the chat. Lex is saying to us, do you remember education TV drama How We Used to Live? Yes, I do.
I do. I used to love that. It was great. Yeah.
We used to watch it, Paul, at school as part of
Yeah,
our
me
history
too. Yeah, because they had TV in my day as well. Yeah, when I was at school.
To think.
Yeah, there's, yes.
Black and
That's probably
white.
black and white back then, to be fair.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, for those of you outside the UK, as Lex is saying, it went from the 1900s to the 1950s. The first season was one of Men Grown Up, Some from Bread. That's right. I knew him from somewhere. But I watched it at primary school, and it was just a short half-hour thing, I think. Yeah. And it was basically a drama set in history about family and the people that they knew. And it was an educational. I think adults must have treated it as a soap opera if they came across it. But as kids, you tied it in with any historical project you were doing. It was very good.
We used to remember we used to watch Picture Box as well, because that was semi-educational too.
Picture Box,
that bizarre spinning box that had the music sound like it came from the web planet. It was really weird.
That's right. But you know what? Those shows wouldn't get made today, Paul, because do you know what? They're not representative enough. They're not diverse enough. They're not inclusive enough for what these idiots believe is a modern Britain. Boy, are they out of touch. Well, they're out of touch.
Did the BBC do that with Wurzell Gummies recently? They also did it with
I think that.
Famous Five as well. Yeah, so
come into that. We've got Frankie Stanish saying, I loved How We Used to Live. Yorkshire Television for ITV Schools. That's right. Jess Corbyn saying, it is, of course, a known fact that their hypocrisy has existed for decades. Yeah, the BBC's hypocrisy has, and they've never really taken any notice at all to its customers, who are, of course, the people that pay for it through the license fee. They've never bothered with them. I think, though, recently, Jess, I have noticed since around about the Scottish referendum time, which I think was 2014, a long time ago, that's when I started to notice a bias. And that's when I noticed an opinion from the BBC. And that's when I noticed that they were slagging off people that didn't agree with them, including some of my friends who wanted Scottish independence. You know, and I was like, no, hang on a minute. It's a democratic vote. If they want to vote that way, that's their right. We saw it again. With the Brexit, we saw it again, and we're still seeing it because he's back with Trump. There's a hell of a bias, and I think it's just because, Jess, an awful lot of these far left idiots that have come from university and been miseducated by far left idiots are now in the BBC, and they're calling themselves alleged activists. Oh, Hartnell's Ghost is saying, I did think the colour situation was very well done with Freema in the 2-part 1930 boys' school episode. Yeah, that was a good one.
That was very well done, yes, and that was very representative and very true, and very nasty, and it can show the nasty side of race, and that was really well done. And it's a great story as well, Human Nature, Family of Blood, really good. Yeah,
and why they can't do it that way? I mean, you know, Britain has had its moments, the 50s, the 60s, some of the 70s, where we did have an element of racism. Not everywhere, but we did.
Well, Enoch Powell, and then you've also got the Windrush issues and things like that. There's so many things that have come up through history, which are probably more interesting for the people who represented in it to watch as well. Probably.
Yeah, but I think we should be showing that as historical facts. We can learn from it, because our generations, Paul, we grew up with that thinking this isn't right, and we changed it. Yeah. So actually, by not acknowledging it and saying, oh, these people have been in Britain forever and they've contributed to this, is actually betraying those people, the minority that was here at the time and had to live through the nastiness and contribute to making it better. You know, I mean, I think they're betraying an awful lot of people. Rick Storm is saying here, blackwashing British history is so racist. It is, but it's okay to be racist against white people. Have you noticed, Rick?
I remember growing up in the 1970s at my school, there was one black kid at the school, and that felt quite unusual, quite unique for us, because there wasn't many black neighbours around. But now it's integrated far more than it was in the 70s, which is fine. But that just to show, even in the 70s, it wasn't hugely represented, certainly not in Scotland, where I'm from, you know.
Lots of you in the chat with us. Thank you for joining us this Saturday night. Keep the chat coming. I'm going to try and keep up with you. Cara, the Tolkien nerd, nice to see you. You're feeling really ill today. Well, I hope you're going to feeling a bit better soon, darling. And thank you for joining us. I hope we can help to cheer you up and take your mind off you feeling ill today, darling. It's not good when you're feeling ill. I've had a couple of days this week where I wasn't 100%, so I know what you mean. But thank you for joining us, Cara. It's lovely to see you, especially as a Tolkien nerd as well. You'll have to email me, whosviews1@gmail.com, Cara, when you're feeling okay, and let me know what you thought of the films. Because I like them. I like them. Kev Gresham is with us. I don't have an issue, but if they were casting for Martin Luther King, would they cast, say, John Sim? I think not. Of course they wouldn't. That's pushing it too far, isn't it? However, yeah, it's not often that it happens the other way, Paul.
No, it's not. And that's the case, though. It shouldn't happen at all, whether it be Sir Isaac Newton or Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela or whoever. They shouldn't be crossing over because they're not allowed to do that now. So if you're not allowed to do it on one side, you should be allowed to do it on the other. You know what I mean? So if you can do it, if you can do a race swap Isaac Newton, you should be able to do a race swap Martin Luther King, but you can't, and that's very contradictory and not really fair, is it? Let's be honest.
And again, I'm going to use the H word, hypocritical.
Yeah,
hypocritical. And it comes to the case when they did that with Nathaniel for Isaac Newton, there was no rhyme or reason for that, apart from the fact we can.
Yeah.
And we'll upset people. Because don't forget, we also had that thing that came a couple of years later where Shooty and the one that played Belinda, I can never remember her name now because I'm not that interested, was so, while they were filming their Doctor Who on the TARDIS, they were calling everybody anists, basically, weren't they? We covered that a couple of times on the show in the last year. Shocking behaviour. Matt. Oh, sorry, Paul, go on.
I was going to say, I think that was desperation to get viewers because a controversy is a good way of stirring up interest because no one was watching. Whether it make people watch, I don't know, but at least it creates some column inches in a newspaper saying this is what they said to try and create some interest because no one was interested by season 2. We're all turned off.
Yeah, we all turned off, yeah. And that was proven, wasn't it? Absolutely. Yeah. Matt Enspiel, Matt's saying to us, there's a fine line between representation and crowbarring a DEI hire. It's an insult to all. I totally agree with you. The problem is, Matt, isn't it, that it's been enforced. It's been done because they are so into this DEI representation nonsense, as we've just seen from the responses from the BBC to this report. They're going to carry on with it because they think they have to reflect what they think the British Isles is made up of. And they're so out of touch. Politically, they must be crapping themselves, Paul, because we've got a lot of British people. And by that, I am actually going to say this. British-born white people descended from generations of white families who are British.
Yeah.
They're rising up and they're saying, we're not happy with this now. They might be, some of them, it's all done in a very polite British way. Excuse me, we're not happy with this.
Yeah.
You know, but they are, you know, they're going out now. They're starting to, I sometimes worry that these idiots on the far left are going to cause some sort of breakdown of our society because regular people are coming out saying, this is too much. And stop rewriting our history. Stop saying this particular person was this and this because it's not. And stop brainwashing our kids on all sorts of things, from the trans issue to the history issue Lex mentioned, which we're going to come to. Talking of history, Hartnell's Ghost is saying to us, if our BBC had made The Crown, would they have colourblind casting for Lady Diana and Queen Elizabeth II? Now, that would have caused all hell to break loose, wouldn't it?
That would have been a real furore with that, definitely, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, although, didn't Bridgerton, in its fantasy fiction element, cast a black queen?
Oh, did they? What was that, Queen Victoria then, was meant to be?
I have no idea, because I didn't watch it, but I sort of remembered.
All right.
That's when I sort of twigged, oh, this can't be the sort of history series I'm looking for. Where it's
although if it's Georgian, it would have been a king, wouldn't it? So it would have been if it's their fictitious world, then that's probably fine. But stupid nonetheless, you know.
Yeah. Hiya, John Booths with a Doctor Who episode Thin Ice. Half of London was black in 1814. Yeah. That's what I mean, because it wasn't. And if they were in London at this time, well, let's put it this way, they'd be working for a living. You know what I'm saying? Because that's our history. And we have to deal with that. We can't rewrite it. We have, like our generations did, Paul, you look at that, you're taught about it in history, and you go, well, that can't happen again. We're not having it.
Now, out of interest, as a comparison, I've never really watched this. I don't know. Have you ever watched Downton Abbey?
Oh, I love Downton Abbey. I watched every single episode over 7 years, and I've
And
only
the
watched
movies.
the latest movie I haven't seen because I was in hospital when it came
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, my question was going to be, if you'd watched that, do they have ethnicity swaps within that series or not?
No, no.
And that's set in the sort of 1900s, 1920 thereabouts, in that sort of time. Yeah.
It goes from the sinking of the Titanic, the day the Titanic sank,
Right.
and it goes right up into the 20s.
Right.
I think the films may have got into the 30s actually, because I haven't seen the last one yet.
But my point, so this is ITV that generally made this, wasn't it, or for ITV anyway?
It was a
So
company
they have
for Carnival for ITV, yeah.
So they're not doing the same as the BBC. The point I'm trying to make by shoehorning in these swaps. So they're not doing it. So it proves they can still do it as a drama without any problems. Then if that's what I mean. So
yeah. I've often thought of this. This is a brilliant example, actually, Paul. And when I'm watching it again on the repeats, because I watch it on the repeats, everybody, you know, because I love Downton. And I'm watching it, and I've got all this DEI stuff, who viewers in my head, thinking, "Oh my god, this was on ITV. It was a Sunday night drama for 7 years. It was massive. It was getting 10 million viewers.
Yeah,
you know, huge overnight ratings. Never mind the catch up. So it was doing.
Well, Julian Fellows had reinvented upstairs, downstairs, hadn't he? Let's be honest. That's what he did.
Yes, he had. And a lot of it was based on his film that he did as well, called Gosford Park. If you've ever seen that,
of course, I remember that film. Yeah.
Dave Maggie Smith was in that one as well.
Yeah.
And
she's in everything, to be fair.
She was. God love her.
Yeah,
we love her. But the thing about Downton is there was only ever in 7 years one black character, and he was a jazz musician.
Yeah.
So it suited the time, you know.
Yeah.
And it was correct. It was done well, and there was a sort of element of the sort of English shock, but it was played and it was.
Oh, I say,
yeah. Oh, you know, no, I loved having him for tea. You know, that sort of stuff. It was there, but that was the only thing, and I wouldn't have said that was enforced or woke or anything like this, because it was sort of true. It balanced out. You know. Hello, Bob 23301. One positive is that with the top showrunner almost out of the door of Who, allegedly, and the BBC, allegedly, we may get Eccleston back as the Doctor at some point. Do you know what? I don't know if I want him back.
Unless they pay him £10 million, I don't think he's going to do it, to be fair. Yeah, he has done Big Finish, but I think he was doing it for the cash, to be fair. But,
I wouldn't. Yeah, I would think so. That's the reason he started. I think personally going to the conventions, because some bright spot when he wrote his book said, instead of just doing a book tour, let's launch the books or promote the books at these Doctor Who conventions.
Yeah. And I was going to say I think that he initially did the Big Finish stuff. Then it looked like he'd stopped doing it. I think he did it originally during COVID, because there was no work coming in. So that's why he got into that, to make money by doing these remote audio recordings via Zoom and all that kind of stuff. And that's how he made his money. And then since then he's built up from there. Yeah. And
he gets paid a fortune because, of course, now, as we all know, in convention land, thanks to the huge success of Comic-Con, which is another import, we've got them where you pay to get in, and then you pay to get their squiggle, and you pay to get their photograph, and you pay for any.
I noticed those shooties doing the rounds now. He must be skint. Never mind. Okay.
We're going to be talking more about that tomorrow, aren't we?
Yes, we will be. Yeah.
Hi, Doc Martin. I recently watched the sequel to Wolf Hall about Thomas Cromwell, and it was overloaded with diversity to the point it detracted from the story. And it's been going on for years, though. Wolf Hall, I was so excited about Wolf Hall, Doc Martin, because I thought that's going to be the sort of history drama I like, costume period drama, because I grew up with things like Glenda Jackson and Elizabeth, Ray Winston's Henry VIII, you know, from the turn of the century. Brilliant stuff, proper stuff like that. I love all that.
Yeah.
I even like the American thing for HBO called The Tudors.
All right, I've not seen that.
Even though that was historically inaccurate, I quite enjoyed it until the last season. But Wolf Hall, I couldn't get past episode 2 or 3. I thought, no, this isn't right at all.
I'm not keen on the actor playing the lead in it. I don't find him very.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't like him. And I'm not quite sure how he managed to be so successful as he's become. But what do I know?
What do any of us know? Because
Yeah.
according to the BBC, none of us know anything, and we need
Yeah.
to be educated and told,
Yeah.
don't we? Connor's with us. Connor Simpson is saying, "R.I.P. Star Wars." Let's hope there's some sort of light at the end of the tunnel for Star Wars, shall we? Let's hope now she's gone. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Has
Connor.
Kathleen Kennedy really gone? She's been going every other week for about 10 years.
That's what I thought, but but
So-
somebody actually told me earlier this week, no, this is it. She's definitely gone. She's
Wow.
retiring. So let's
Thank
see
God
who
for
takes
that.
over.
Yeah.
What else we got here as well? So Clive Calculator, how are you? The continuity announcers can't even pronounce things properly and get the names of their own TV shows wrong. This is ignorant and totally inappropriate for the BBC. Yeah, because again, they went down that whole thing of they got rid of the pronounced language that we were used to, the clipped.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
no, we've got to have regional stuff now. And some of that stuff that I've caught at Christmas and stuff with though, I don't like it. I do not like those regional accents.
I was watching on YouTube recently the continuity for Towns of Wing Chiang, and even then they have problems with that one. So
Stephen Alreese, hello Stephen, how are you? You having another good day? Hi all, just joined. I'm feeling full of cold. Oh, you and me both, kid. Yeah. We've got Pathé Films on YouTube documenting our history over the last 100 years, and those films clearly show how the UK used to be. They do. And yes, I saw one just the other day, Stephen, as well, where a very primitive, obviously early camera was taken on the tube, which looks exactly the same then as it does now, actually. It's really spooky.
it's
White
interesting.
faces everywhere, Paul.
Interesting, JT. I've seen photographs of old Victorian photographs or wartime photographs, and they've been AI to make them move, and they're very spooky, but really good, really well done. You know, looks superb. When you see them in that time period, there's I think lots of historical AI on YouTube of various cities at various time periods, and it looks amazing. If you find them on YouTube, they're really good.
Yeah. Oh, well, Timescales is with us. Hello, mate. How you doing? The Pathé films are excellent. Many are in the public domain now. Yeah, more and more are coming through now, aren't they? And apparently they're finding more as well, which is good stuff. So
I love it when they do. Sorry, I love it when they do celebrity ones and they have them at film premieres, and they might get a chance of glimpsing William Hartnell at Brighton Rock or something like that, or something. You know, at the cinema, you see all these celebrities at the BAFTAs or the Oscars, and they're all in these wonderful, all these classic film stars like David Niven or people like that. You know, fantastic stuff. You know?
Robert Payne is saying to us, Paul, the two Ronnies cast the Black Queen Victoria, but only after the Phantom Raspberry Blower had visitors and shocked her. That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And Woodhouse 122 is saying we have had a Black Queen, Liz 10, in a Moffat episode. Yeah, that was the one with the big whale, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that, and again, that's okay because that's a future
yes,
queen,
exactly.
Which is fine. That could potentially still happen, potentially. So that's fine. You know?
Well, you never know. I mean, you know, the young princes and princesses right now could marry goodness knows what. Now we just don't know.
Well, if Harry had still been in the frame to be king, then that could have still happened. You know, but
well, he's not. Thank goodness, because
he's not. Yeah.
Don't get me started on his missus either, because I just can't stand.
Well, that's who I was referring to be fair, because there was all that alleged scandal apparently. Yeah, but
yeah, please. Spoiled brats. It's like him from the Beckhams, isn't it?
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
Set me with him. Stephen Braddock is saying Bridgerton is set in an alternate reality with the Black Queen Charlotte marrying King George. The problem I've got with that, Stephen, as in the two original episodes I saw of first series, that was not established. And I just wondered, especially out of the UK, would people think this was British history? Because that has happened where we've had shows that have gone abroad, like actually The Crown, which is not historically accurate. It's a drama based on events that actually happened, but it's not to the letter and it's not a documentary. But I always think, well, how many people in America, for example, are watching this thinking this is what actually really happened and this is what the people did, but they're not. It's characters based on the real people. Yeah, there is a distinction. But I love your Klingon vessel there as well. Look, you've got a bird of prey there. Thanks, Stephen. Thank you for that. Keep all your comments coming, everybody, because we've got a lot to talk through tonight. And it's lovely to see you this Saturday night. Oh, hello there. This is Sally Wagon Black. Good to see you, Sally. We've already had Black Anne Boleyn, so that's the first of the British White Queens to be blackwashed. And now with poor old Anne Boleyn, what is it about Anne Boleyn? Now they've turned her into a man. over in America on the Broadway. Poor old Anne Boleyn. Not only did she lose her head, not only was she married to a complete and utter lunatic, one of the most violent men in our history. Well, now she's been.
But he's quite jovial once he's played by Sid James, though, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah. Oof. Rick Storm, BBC used to be auntie, now they're granny with dementia. I like that. That's probably true, isn't it? That is quite true, actually, where they are now. And Julianne is saying to us here, filling the cast with DEI hires won't get you an audience. The vast majority of the public are not trans or have skin of a darker hue, and unless the little boat flotilla force are watching the BBC. Now, that's the other point, Julianne, that I was going to come to, and I think you're absolutely right. The BBC is desperate to be seen as being representative. But again, it shows, Paul, I think, their mindset is set in North London, in Islington, North London, liberal North London. I think if any of them set foot in Southeast London, I think they crap themselves.
Yeah.
You know, with the real diversity and inclusion is, because they wouldn't be welcomed, allegedly. But, you know, it's what they think Britain is, and it's not.
The main problem really for me is not so much the diversity as such, but as they said in the chat, is the fact that shoehorned in, and they have that as priority and not the storytelling. And that's what we said about Doctor Who all along. It's all been shoehorned in. They've missed the storytelling and just went preachy and let's be representative, etc. If they really concentrated on the plots, the story, the characters, and found a way of putting them in properly without shoehorning them in as part of the narrative, that may make more sense. But that's the problem. It's just so obviously very unsubtly done, you know?
I totally agree. And we saw that as well. I mean, that Dot and Bubble episode was the highlight of that, wasn't it? That's where we all just went, we're really done. Well, we were done with it beforehand, but that was a real nail in a coffin, wasn't it? You just think, how blatant and obvious can you really be, you idiots? Well, Lex, thank you for your super chat, Lex. Sorry, Paul. Did you hear about Wicked Part 2? Has not been taken off the Oscar nominations. I hadn't heard anything about Wicked Part 2 because it was one of those films where I couldn't go to see it because I was in hospital. And I've forgotten all about it, to be quite honest. You heard anything about it, Paul?
I haven't actually, no, but I'm not. Is the woman who plays the Wicked Witch still in that version as well? I don't know. I can't remember. I've lost track of it, but I can't stand that woman. It's the one with the ring on her nose. I've forgotten her name.
Well, I can't remember her name now. It's gone out of my head.
I can't bear that woman. She's so sanctimonious.
No. She is, isn't she?
Apparently, she's playing Dracula. She looks more like Nosferatu, to be fair. Now, that's me saying that with no hair. But
Mark McIntosh is saying, to your point, and now on BBC One, the talons of Weng Chang.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Which reminds me, Mark,
tickled me. Yeah.
That reminds me of a group in the 80s. Everybody Weng Chang tonight. Woo! Do you remember that one?
I do remember that. Yeah.
Somewhere, I tell you. Julianne also saying to us, the BBC do know the vast majority of their licence payers are pasty-faced and binary, don't they? Hashtag defund the BBC before Trump does. God, yeah. No, they don't, Julianne. They're ignoring the reality because they live in their own bizarre world. You know, so I don't think they do. And then they come along and wonder, hang on a minute, why are people not paying the license fee? Because you've alienated, excluded millions, in fact, over 2 million households alone in the United Kingdom, across the United Kingdom, whether it be Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, or England. You've excluded over 2.5 million households.
Just to represent a minority. Yeah.
Hashtag wake up. Cara, the Tolkien nerd. JT, that's my issue. The children watching this, they think it's real reality. Going to come to that in a minute, Cara. Got a lot to say about that. Domgo, hello, Domgo. If people want to live in La La Land and want to believe there were black kings and queens and Indian Isaac Newtons, more power to you.
Well, I'm still annoyed they buggered up science as well. They never explained gravity, for Christ's sake, honestly.
I don't want to know at all about that thing. Curious Cases with us, Paul, saying, good evening, gentlemen. No context, but I love low-key, cozy streams like this. Oh, bless you. That's nice. We're doing our best. Thanks, Curious Case. Kev is with us, Kev Gresham. Again, casting is important when recreating historical events. It can make the drama so much more believable. Just look at the casting for that fantastic film, Rush. Oh, I don't know that one, do you?
Neither do I. Yeah.
I think personally for me, It has to be, if they're doing, especially if it's the BBC, if they're doing a historical drama, it must be accurate, even if it's not about representation, and even if there's nobody of colour in it. I don't care, because that's the reality of our history.
Yeah. And that's my main objection as well. Mainly is bugging about history and changing it for the sake of changing it. I've no problem with representation anywhere else. That's fine. In futuristic things, or create your own dramas for people, ethnicity or trans people, whatever. That's fine. Do that, no problem. But don't bugger about with history. You know.
Yeah. Bill Lowry's just reminding me that it's Cynthia Erivo, although he's misspelt Cynthia.
Cynthia. Yeah.
You naughty, naughty Bill. But that's who it is. And Daryl's with us. Hiya, Daryl. 45 years ago in Not the 9 O'Clock News, Pamela Stevenson mocked the BBC newsreaders' attempts at performative pronunciation. It's a level of mockery even funnier now. Yeah.
I remember that. I think Pamela Stevenson playing Angela Rippon. Then later, I think Moira Stewart at one point, I think. But yeah.
Hartnell's Ghost is saying to us, Paul, perhaps Ofcom should insist UK broadcasters put a DEI tick box in casting warning on these colourblind casting shows, like they insist for Steptoe, etc. The reruns. That's a point.
Yeah.
The problem is the BBC are involved with Ofcom, aren't they? So they're not going to. Yeah, Ofcom are just as bad. Let's face it. Ofcom are part of this whole woke culture because they're part of the entertainment industry, and there will be alleged activists working within Ofcom. That's probably why, in my opinion, Hartnell's Ghost, why Ofcom were for a little while throwing absolutely everything they could by scraping the bottom of the barrel as well at GB News to try and get it into trouble so they could get it off the airwaves.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't one of the accepted by the BBC forms of news. And now look where they are as we're broadcasting in 2026. They're in the top of British news resources with the British public.
Even the BBC realise that now by jumping onto YouTube as well. They've realised, oh my God, we're going to be left behind any minute. So let's do something. Yeah.
And back before in GB News was on air, they spent 18 months trying to get it off the air, didn't they? The BBC.
Yeah.
Because they were frightened of losing control of the narrative that they were dictating to the public. And thank God for people like GB News and to an extent Talk TV as well, because they've held the BBC accountable for so much of this crap.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Lex is saying, sorry, I've mistyped. It's been taken off the Oscar nominations. What, Wicked 2 has it? Well, why should it be on the Oscar nominations? If they don't believe that they've earned anything, why should it? Just because it's a huge film, just because it was based on a huge Broadway show. I bet a lot of people went to see part 2 and were shocked, though, because it gets darker in Act 2. You know, things happen to characters to turn them into things in The Wizard of Oz.
Right. All right.
You know?
Right.
And I bet all the children that were loving the first part because it was all whimsical and
well, the original Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland's fairly dark as well, just with Margaret Hamilton and the Flying Monkeys for a start. Yeah.
Oh, loved her when I was a kid. She scared the hell out of me, Margaret.
Yeah.
What an actress, eh? What a
and
talent.
That piece of music, which I can't hum when she's on the bike, is really creepy, you know.
Oh, it is, isn't it? I love it. She was brilliant in that role, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Really
Superb.
good. Yeah. She would give you the thrills, wouldn't she, when you were watching? Oh, fantastic. Listen, what we got from Cara. I love this channel, sensible and thoughtful conversation. Thank you very much. Which also reminds me to do what Kirsty is doing and say, if, of course, you haven't subscribed, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel. If you've already subscribed, make sure you are still subscribed. Woodhouse122. I got my monthly TV license threatening letter this morning. It went straight into the recycling bin. That's the best thing to do with it, isn't it, Woodhouse122?
Yeah, it's too shiny for anything else.
Yeah, just ignore them. They're trying to frighten people. That's how the BBC works for those of you out of the UK. For years and years and years, they've been lying to us about the license fee and how they can detect you. They couldn't. And now they threaten you if you don't pay them. Why should you if you're not using any of their services? Bugger off. Can't stand the BBC, I tell you. It's good to see you all in the chat. Really, really is. Let's go and have a look and see what else I've got for you because I've forgotten. Yeah, we've got that. Oh, yes, of course. So we're talking about this report that's come through. I want to put this up on screen, Paul, as well. This was something from a couple of years ago, but it started to creep up again because of this report from the BBC. Now, this was from the Telegraph back in 2021. So this is where people were starting to really notice Who viewers. Britons were black, Quote, before these isles were British, unquote, says Horrible Histories. The BBC children's show is dedicating its first ever episode to Black history as creators vow to reevaluate what we think about the past. Now, this ties in completely, Paul, with what we've just been saying, but this is children's television. Now, when we look at what is called children's BBC, and I've done a little bit of research on this for our channel, I'm sick to see some of the stuff. Now, we grew up with some really wholesome dramas, didn't we? Oh, children's television, didn't we, Paul, in our day?
Yeah.
Blue Peter being the big one. Various dramas. Jackanory. Yeah. Lots of Rent-A-Go, Stephen. You know, there was some really good stuff which didn't go into this. But our children today, if they're accessing children's BBC dramas, are being preached to and lied to. They're being told about history that didn't happen because they're rewriting it, and they're being told that they may possibly be in the wrong body. Talking of them before, GB News picked up on this yesterday with this article on its website and also on its channel. BBC sparks race row as it's accused of rewriting history. Viewers demand end of funding for the broadcaster. It continued, the BBC has sparked a furious race row after being accused of rewriting history following the release of a new song on children's show Horrible Histories. So bearing in mind, this Horrible Histories have now been doing this, Paul, since that article from The Telegraph in 2021.
Yeah.
So we're 5 or 6 years old into, depending on the production, into them doing this. It is no wonder we have successive generations now who are thick as mince.
Yeah.
It carries on. The TV series received a barrage of criticism on social media over its song, Been Here From the Start. The CBBC programme traced the history of Black people from Cheddar Man to the 20th century. GB News host and former Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage asked, when will the BBC stop lying? Conservative commentator Anna McGovern added, BBC children's show Horrible Histories has released a song called Being Here From the Start, which is about Black people always being in Britain. The BBC is rewriting history by teaching children that the original Britons were Black. She added, facts the BBC got wrong include, it says that Septimus Severus was Black. That's false. It says that the Aurelian Moors were Black. That's false. It says the Western hunter-gatherers, the original people of Britain, were Black. That's false. It's time to defund the BBC. And then to illustrate their article, Paul, they showed this.
Oh, I see. Yeah, okay.
So there's the evidence. This is from Horrible Histories for the Children's BBC, illustrating exactly what they've said in this song. The article continues, critics have also pointed out that whilst Black people have resided in the United Kingdom in the last 2,000 years, it is unfair to imply medieval or early modern Britain was diverse. Around 20,000 Black people lived in the United Kingdom in the 18th century. The overall population started at around 5 million in 1700 and reached nearly 9 million in 1801. Depending on the period of the 18th century, the figure is either 1 in 250 or 1 in 450. Horrible Histories released Been Here From the Start as a special song looking back at the contributions of Black Britons in its 2021 specials. Its lyrics reference the likes of Henry VIII's trumpeter John Blank. It added, please lend me your ears for this news I shall impart. You may not have been told, we've been here from the start. Inspiring. The song did not seem to spark much controversy when it was first released. So that was what they were saying. They were coming back saying, well, we released this back in 2021. But the problem with these shows now is that they're repeated all the time, Paul.
Yeah. They're on a loop, aren't they? Just about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it shows that that people are waking up in our country. They're waking up to this and they're seeing it more and more constantly now. We've talked before on the show about the constant barrage of bloody adverts that come through, although I have noticed a little change now in some of the adverts.
They should have a disclaimer before it, in the same way you have trigger warnings for Steptoe and Son, surely. Should have some kind of disclaimer saying, this is a children's show, but it is based on fiction, not fact, in some respect. Otherwise, it is going to teach history to children, which is completely inaccurate. And that's wrong. It really is.
Yeah. Sheila B in the devotions with us saying that trigger warnings on only fools, is that a joke? So it sort of
No,
ties
it's
in with
not a
your
joke.
future.
That's true as well, apparently. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've put trigger warnings on only fools and horses.
No
And
pun intended, of course.
of course, yeah. I never thought of that. But yeah, but
Yes,
lots of other stuff as well, lots of the stuff we grew up with. But you won't get a trigger warning with something they've produced today and they agree with.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's the hypocrisy. But I absolutely can understand why parents are starting to complain more when they've suddenly got sight of this. But of course, people who will complain, including ourselves here, as we all know on this show, everybody, we all know about it, we're the wrong sort of viewer. And how many times have we heard, oh, it's not for you? Well, who the hell is it for then? But when you're getting to the children with these messages, these agendas, I'm totally against that. You tell them the truth. You're historically accurate. You don't go around telling them that they're in the wrong body. You don't put these ideas into your head. That's what it's about. Because how are we going to actually, like when I was a kid, Paul, as an example, at school, we were taught, with us being near to Liverpool, about how Liverpool made its money. Mm-hmm. Now, Liverpool was made a rich city through slavery.
Yeah. So was Edinburgh, yeah.
And Glasgow to an extent, you know, a lot of this. But this came, we were told with no holds barred what happened. And that had an effect on us because our generation thought, well, that's got to stop. Do you know what I mean? But if you're white, if you're changing the history, what's there to learn from? Because you think, oh, everything's been fine. Until you get out into the real world and you meet people who remember what it was like in the 60s, 70s, the 80s, and the 90s.
Now, the thing about this, slavery is an interesting topic because it's not all black and white. It's not, we'll all agree slavery is wrong, but you can't just whitewash the whole thing and say, actually, it was all the Brits' fault, because it wasn't entirely what we did. Other nations were doing it, including Africans. So it's bizarre, really, in that aspect. You know?
Yeah. And of course, Britain was the first country in the world to stop it.
Yeah.
Which nobody ever gives us credit for. We woke up at some point, didn't we? We went, oh, this is wrong. We can't do this. And then we went round into the world saying, this is wrong. And yet nobody today, none of these do-gooders are talking about the injustices going on in Africa and places where it still exists. And I daren't even look at places like China.
Yeah.
You know, they're not doing about that. We've just had our Prime Minister buggering off to China. What's he playing at, Paul?
No idea at all.
Yeah. Lots of you have seen this in the chat. Dom goes saying my horrible history started in 2005 and it's still continuing. Yeah. Excuse me a second, but yes, the whole thing to me just suggests everybody, again, we're dealing as usual, as we know, with people that just haven't a bloody clue.
Yeah. And it's really quite sad, isn't it? Because I think you should be proud of your history, proud of your country, proud of what we have achieved. And it's not all negative. That's the thing. And that appears to be that everything Britain's done was awful. And it's not true. You know?
Yeah, it's not true at all. And as I say, these people genuinely hate Britain. You know, they hate Britain. These are the people that are tearing down the flags, the national flags, our Union Jack. You know, what is wrong with flying your Union Jack? These people have associated it with racism. How sick are they? How dare you? That's your national flag. Associate it with the crown. Associate it with our brilliant and wonderful country. Don't be going ripping them down or criticizing people that are putting them up and associating it with nastiness. There is nothing right-wing or nasty about being patriotic. I can't stand people that try that on with me because I'm British and I'm bloody proud to be British. I don't care what anybody says. I'm very proud. But then I was brought up in a different time. Hello, Tony Farrell. How are you? Greetings and salutations. These claims have repeatedly been debunked by DNA testing, etc. Let's keep our history intact. The thing is as well, Tony, is I've been told by friends who are in education that there are now books appearing in the libraries which are also rewriting history. There are books now appearing in the libraries that will suggest, as I actually know this one to be true, that will suggest these children are born in the wrong body and introducing the whole transgender subject to them. This is what we're getting with the far left being in control of certain things, or do-gooders that don't realize that they're doing bad things. Super chat from Lex. JT and Paul, what was your favorite history school class lesson?
Oh, good.
Now, with this, you'll be dealing with several things because Paul, of course, has Scottish history at school.
Yes, a little, but I was more interested in wartime history. I've always liked wartime, particularly. We got a lot of that, which I quite liked, and I had quite a good history teacher. But I've always loved like war movies and things like Dad's Army when Doctor goes back to World War One or Two. I love all that. So
Love
I've
all the war
probably
films.
for me it's First or Second World War. Because we did a lot of in English, did a lot of World War One poetry as well and that kind of thing. So I like that kind of period.
This is the other thing that gets me. I, as a boy, and to this day, I love the war films, Paul. You know,
Mm,
I can watch,
yeah,
The Great Escape any time of day. I
yeah.
can watch. Well, Gregory Peck's in most of them. I love all those war films. Guns of Navarone, all-time favorites of mine. But if they were made today, they would be full of DEI tick boxing from the industry.
Exactly.
And I saw one
Yeah.
recently, which was a cheaper one, and it was so historically inaccurate. I can't watch this because it was based in England with a force that was going to fight the N word in Europe,
All right.
and half of them were of people that were not in the country. And I just
One
thought,
of my
hang on a minute, no, those fellas died for our country.
yeah.
Don't be race swapping them.
One of my favourite movies is Reach for the Sky with Kenneth Moore as Douglas Bader. Fantastic. I
Classic
can't wait to
film.
get my tin legs. What a fantastic movie that is. Super, yeah. Yeah.
That is a brilliant. You don't
Yeah.
make them like that anymore, do
They
they?
don't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Lex. Thank you very much. Sheriff Brackett, hello to you. They frame it as a race round instead of it being about historical accuracy. You're right. You're absolutely right. And anybody that comes up against them, of course, they will just call us far right or, nasty people, or they'll throw terms is, phobe, ots at us, won't they?
I mean, for instance, as a comparison, I remember, was it late 70s, early 80s, they did Roots on TV about the
Yes,
slave trade in America, and it's
yes,
fantastic drama, great
yes,
stuff. I think the
yes.
guy who's in Star Trek Next Gen was in that as well. I
It
forgot
was,
his name.
wasn't it? The Geordie
That's
LaForge
right, yeah,
guy.
yeah.
That's
And
right.
it's
That's where he made his name, I
fantastic
think.
drama. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm hoping that's
yeah.
accurate because it was great. It was tragic but wonderful to watch and great drama. And I'm
We
hoping that's historically accurate. It should be,
we got to watch that at secondary school.
Yeah,
So we're talking about 13, 14 years old for those of you outside the UK. And again,
yeah,
it was part of our history. It scared the crap out of me what was going on in
yeah,
that,
yeah.
because it was
It's
so
horrible,
well
horrible.
done. And that's
Yeah,
how you do those sort of historical things. Even if
yeah,
it's nasty, you bring it home to the audience so
yeah.
that, again, we turn around and say, that's never happening again, because that's wrong. It was the same when, at school, we did a thing called modern studies in Scottish schools. Remember that, Paul?
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
loved that because it was
yeah.
political. Strange,
Mm,
eh?
yeah,
And we were taught about, at the time in the 80s, apartheid in South Africa.
yeah, yeah.
And we were taught about Steve Biko and Nelson Mandela. Steve Biko, one of my personal heroes, I have to say. What a legend. And heartbreaking story.
Mm.
A film was made about Steve Biko years later, and I knew his history. But because I watched it, and it was so hard-hitting, it reminded me of what I was like in modern studies, thinking, this has to end.
Yeah.
This can't happen. That's another
But in
story.
telling the truth, like you're saying, it makes it thought provoking. It
Yes.
doesn't hide behind the badness of it, the horribleness of it. It actually makes you learn from it, and hopefully, by watching it as a teenager or a child growing up from that history, you won't think of repeating it again. That's
Yes.
why the scary thing about changing history, you don't learn from your mistakes, and that's what it's about, really,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Birthday girl Marie is saying to us, my nephew came home from school saying he was told that black immigrants built the railways in this country. And as Marie's saying, they didn't. They were Irish, my ancestors. How dare they be told that? Again, yes, how dare they? It's a revisionist history. It's like with LGB, same-sex attracted men and women history. They've shoehorned in the transgenders into our history. Now, transgenders are usually heterosexuals. The heterosexuals had nothing to do with our achievements. That was down to very brave LGB, same-sex attracted men and women. Had nothing to do with anybody else. Again, Marie, I think personally it's just because we've got to rewrite this to suit our mentality and our vision of where Britain should be. It's a lie. It's an absolute lie, and I think it's disgraceful. It's disgusting, especially taking it to the kids. And I see this, Marie, with a lot of the younger, allegedly gay men and boys and girls coming through. They're all in their 20s, and they believe the wrong history because that's what they've been given. Oh, school and university told me this, so that must be right. Shocking, Paul.
I think it's tragic you're educating children if they are, let's say they are in the wrong body, let's say for the sake of argument they are, but they have to grow out of it and grow up and find themselves as a person. When they're 16, 17, 18, whatever, if they feel that that's their desire to be trans or gay, whatever they want to be, that's entirely fine. But
as long as you're adults.
Yeah, as long as you're an adult, but teaching it to children is completely wrong because in our day you had people who were maybe, if you were a girl and you were butch, you were a tomboy, not necessarily a lesbian or in the wrong body, for example. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah. PT Music, good to see you. I love original factual history. So do I. Try and find it today, though. Honestly. And Robert Payne is coming up with a classic British television story. Tenko at least had white people being mistreated by the Japanese historically correctly. Louise Jameson, of course, in that one of her most fabulous and famous television roles. Even though she did things like the Omega Factor and everything like that as well. The British public of a certain age today, I'm talking about our ages, Paul, onwards, into our parents, our grandparents, they remember Louise, not for Leela. But for Tenko.
Well, she was in such a short time in Doctor Who, although she made a real impact. She was never typecast. She did so many other things.
Yes.
I was watching Omega Factor. It's on Talking Pictures TV last night, and it's set in 1979. And it's set in Edinburgh, and they showed some of old Edinburgh from 1979. It was wonderful. And they went to Edinburgh Zoo, and Louise Jameson bought the main character a Wall's ice cream. Remember the one, the blocks you put in the top, and she bought on one of those like blocks of ice cream in the cone.
Remember that?
Fantastic stuff. I used to love those cones. They were great.
Yeah. Gosh, I think it was Stephen Braddock that messaged me today saying it was on Talking Pictures. I wish I'd known because I want to see that because I remember it being quite spooky. It was an X-Files of its day, wasn't it?
It's kind of and it's on. It'll be on again. They show things so often. If it's not on Friday nights, it'll be on Monday nights or whatever time. You'll find it at some point, I'm sure.
Well, I'm going to look at that. I'm really looking. I'll go and look at that because I'll revisit it because I don't remember it much when I was a kid. Julianne is saying to us, the BBC are trying to indoctrinate the children in line with our current government. They even have an online computer game pushing a dislike of our country. Yeah, I've heard all about that. I've seen it on some of the unapproved news sources, shall we say, like GB News. It's shocking. It's disgraceful. Again, don't get me started about our current government. You know my opinion. I'm shocked by this one from Merry Old Soul Gigglesmith. The man who wrote Roots admitted he made it up to give his people a mythology.
Really?
I'm stunned at that, Merry Old.
I just checked Google it, she said. Whether Google is accurate or not is maybe the question. But
stunned at that. That's that. Oh, that.
Well, it's cracking telly nonetheless.
It was, but it makes me think that I've been lied to now as well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Oh my God. Derek enjoyed after Doctor Who, Louise Jameson and Tenko in a Japanese war camp in World War II. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Yeah. She was brilliant. Louise is brilliant with everything. She's a proper actress.
Yeah.
No, proper actress, isn't she? Well, Horrible Histories, of course, as Paul mentioned earlier, is not the only thing that has come under the has been highlighted by this report. The famous 5 pictured here on the left, which is the BBC's latest retelling of the Enid Blyton classics, and the Barbara Euthan Todd latest version of Wurzel Gummidge. And Barbara Euthan Todd, of course, did write the original Wurzel Gummidge, but there you go. So both of these children's shows have been accused of tick box casting. I wonder why. But again, Paul, I think this is down to alleged representation. It's so bizarre, though, seeing, especially with the famous 5, that George, and we featured this again on our first show back on January the 4th, 2024, that George, who's supposed to be the tomboy, doesn't fit the time, has modern trainers on, and also doesn't fit the other 3 kids who are white.
Yeah. Well, Wurzel Gummidge isn't tobacco. That's set in present day. They updated it, didn't they? So it's set now rather than when it was set when John Pertwee did it, which was now anyway. But so that doesn't matter quite so much. But it is, you're right, it's shoehorning in again. And they wouldn't explain that. It seems bizarre. That would be a character trait, But
I agree with you about the Wurzel Gummidge thing. I mean, why can't it be two non-white kids that find the scarecrow in the modern day Britain? Because modern day Britain can. But I can understand as well why they got complaints from people who were just seeing it again.
Yeah.
Oh, look, this has happened again.
Yeah.
Oh, this is happening. I'm hoping that they auditioned loads of kids and then decided that those two were the best. I'm really hoping they didn't go out deliberately with the clipboard to say, oh, we've got to have two kids of colour.
Well, that's what Doctor Who said, didn't they, when they were cast shooting? They were looking at all people of all genders, etc., male, female, trans, etc., and going for whatever they're going to go for. And it's like, well, when you start having that kind of casting process, that's fine to be inclusive, but why are you casting the people for the parts? Are they right for the parts or not? That should be the question. Are you right for the job or not? That should be the question,
That was. It still makes me laugh, that nonsense. We're auditioning people of all genders. There are two genders, you utter nonsense. That just shows how ridiculous these people are, isn't it? Count 1970 Lives has joined us, so good to see you. The Omega Effect is well worth a watch, JT, says Graham. Yes, I'm sure. And I will look it up at some point as well. We're going to carry on, everybody, with this because we've got lots of comments in the chat and we've got lots to get through as well. So great to see you all. As we move on to a response to this. Now, this you'll love, Who viewers. You're going to love this because this response to this report was published this afternoon, 31st of January, 2026, this afternoon, just a few short hours ago, in the Woketro, i.e. the Metro. And can you guess who wrote this article?
I wonder.
And it's an interesting one. If you're a regular here with Who's Views and On Headlines, you'll know that we often talk about our favorite Woketro journalist, Asia Iftikhar. Well, yes, this afternoon she was back with this article. BBC warned about colourblind casting, but Doctor Who gets it spot on, was the quote that Isia was looking at there.
Oh, yeah. How do you justify that, I wonder?
Yes, it's spot on, Paul, this one. Yeah, let's have a look at it, because this article deals with these people, so I thought I'd show you who they are. You've got here Pushali Banik, who's a casting director, Kate Phillips, who's the BBC Chief Content Officer. We've talked about her before on the show. And we've also talked about Samir Shah, who is the BBC Chair. So they're all mentioned in this article. Let's go and have a look at it, shall we? I don't want that representation to go away, casting director Pushali Banik warns Metro after the BBC was advised to move away from clunky colourblind casting. An eye-opening report commissioned by the BBC and conducted by former BAFTA chair Anne Morrison and ex-Ofcom executive Chris Banatavla, I can't say his name, urged the broadcaster to move away. It reminds me of
Banakavalata, yeah.
Yeah, him. Do you know what I mean? Reminds me of him, that little red pointy thing. Anyway, urged the broadcaster to move away from tokenistic casting and preachy plot lines. The 80-page report delved into portrayal and representation on the national broadcaster and has cautioned against causing more harm over clunky depictions of race. Collating data from a survey of 4,518 UK adults, all of whom will be ignored, interviews with 100 BBC employees and observers, and an analysis of BBC content over a year-long period up to March 2024, concerns were raised over ethnic diversity looking forced and tick boxing. It also highlighted worries over the erasure of history through anachronistic casting of people of colour in high society positions in period dramas. Especially when it comes to storytelling, it added, unless it's very skillfully done, there is a danger it will feel overly didactic and preachy, as if the viewer is being lectured or a point is being made heavy-handedly. Following the findings, Kate Phillips, the BBC's Chief Content Officer, reiterated the network's commitment to going further to meaningfully reflect the lives of the audiences we serve. For Elaine Cunningham-Walker, education and cultural strategist, she welcomes this report and the very necessary conversation, as she told the Metro. We all say representation matters, But I also feel that the report reflects what creatives are feeling, and that it is that inclusion only works when it's intentional. It shouldn't feel rushed in any way. It shouldn't feel performative in any way, she shares. The report pointed to mixed-race actor Nathaniel Curtis's role as Isaac Newton in Doctor Who and David Johnson in Agatha Christie's Murder is Easy, which involved an anti-colonial storyline, as examples of when audiences have complained. Reflecting on wider audience backlash, Elaine adds that when it comes to, and I'm quoting here, keyboard warriors, they can say a lot of things and you're always going to have that resistance, but you need to be very clear in making everybody feel a part of Britain, unquote. As the report points out, the idea of a mixed race man as Isaac Newton seems much less of a stretch in a show about a time-traveling alien who regenerates into new faces. Where have we heard this before? Oh, yes, when Whittaker was cast.
That's nonsense, though, isn't it? Because it's nothing to do with the science fiction aspect of Doctor Who at all. He's a historic character, for God's sake. He's not the master.
Yes, exactly. He's not even the Doctor.
Yeah.
So that really is another desperate grasp here at getting back at the people who complained about the Doctor Who segment.
Yeah.
You know, and what was it? They had over 120 something complaints, didn't they, over 48 hours or something like that about that particular thing, about the Isaac Newton incident.
I actually thought they were going to say it was spot on because they cast a black actor as the Doctor. That would make it more sense to being spot on. Just a shame he was rubbish. That's the only problem.
Well, that's still to come. I'll go back to this now.
Yeah.
Pashali, who's the casting director, who has worked with as a casting associate for years on projects such as Silent Witness, The Long Shadow, and Practical Magic, explains that in the casting room, they're just looking for actors that are great for the role, whether they are people of color or not. She agrees that with period drama shows that come about, they often have characters of color, and that's where it gets a little tricky. If we are casting actors of color, then it needs to be quite nuanced. It needs to be right. If the character is not written into the show originally and we're bringing on an actor of color just to tick a box, that can become difficult because it goes into this problem of the writers and the researchers trying to fit it in. She recalls one time it landed on the actor on set to be part of the research team, which becomes another conversation. It does indeed. Actors are not there to research. These people deserve to be there, but if it's not the right role or if it's not the right story that has enough actual research behind it, then it just falls back on the actor and jeopardizes their future, she says. Although Pashali believes the BBC report is sparking the right conversation, she makes clear that this should be more funding for meaningful representation rather than just abandoning ship and regressing. It's as though she's forgotten who pays for the BBC at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
As she puts it, I don't want the idea of preachy storylines or tokenistic characters to take away the opportunities for people of colour. I don't want that representation to go away. Projects like Bridgerton definitely opened the doors to so many more actors who never really had the chance or felt they could be seen. I see so many more people of South Asian descent and other POCs just coming and really giving it their best and feeling confident to do so because it's no longer the stereotypical role. We can see ourselves everywhere. So she's including herself in this, of course.
Yeah.
Colorblind casting really did open up the world, but I think it just needs to be looked into. She believes the BBC needs to be properly investing in a comprehensive research team and that every show should be looked on at a case-by-case basis. The right way of going about it is having characters like Nathaniel Curtis as Isaac Newton in stories like Doctor Who. That's something that we need to do more of, she says.
She's missing the point.
Meanwhile, both Pashali and Elaine point out that people of colour very much have a place in history and there desperately need to be more culturally specific stories told rather than just trying to add it in as a storyline.
I have to take task firstly about this making Isaac Newton black because, or Asian in this case. He's Doctor Who. When I was a kid growing up, I learnt from history from Doctor Who. And I learnt from that. If they were telling me lies, then I've been told the wrong history. So watching this as a kid now, if you watch Isaac Newton and Nathaniel played him really well, but he wasn't the right ethnicity, I would have believed that it was a black person if I was watching it as a kid. So it's telling the wrong history to kids. That's wrong.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree. I mean, you know, the fact is that they are looking down at Doctor Who in that as well. She's certainly looking down. Pashali is looking down at Doctor Who because she just thinks it's science fiction. But the part of it is, as you're illustrating there, that the Doctor is a time traveler in our history.
Yeah.
And the history, when the history stories are done, like they were done in the 60s with Hartnell especially, as you mentioned earlier, we shouldn't get a black Marco Polo.
Yeah.
You know, they were done authentically, accurately, and historically well, so that young people like yourself, like myself, and everyone else who you've just illustrated could watch the show, and be educated as well. So she's completely just, again, these people don't understand what Doctor Who is. Oh, we need more of what Russell insisted on doing in Doctor Who. No, we don't.
They can have a story with as many coloured people and black people as they like, but as long as they're represented properly historically, that's the point.
Yes,
so Isaac Newton should never have been not white because he wasn't not white. If he was a black person, that's fine. Have him in it, but he wasn't. So don't, you know.
Yeah. And they're also, again, missing the point that they are robbing us of our history.
Yeah.
You know, and these kids will believe what Doctor Who tells them, or any other show, Horrible Histories or The Famous Five or Wurzel or whatever it's going to be. Children believe this.
Yeah.
You know, and at some point somebody's going to set them back, like I'm doing now with a lot of younger people who say transgenders are responsible for LGBT rights. No, they bloody weren't. That was same-sex attractive men and women. And because you're standing against them, A, they're shocked because it's not going against the narrative they've been given. And B, they'll immediately call you far right and give you every name going.
Yeah. And that again is where we're getting into dangerous ground, because they're making the far right seem really trivial. Because if we're the far right, wait till the real far right turns up. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They won't know what's hit them. Do they not understand, says Terrified Monk, that we just want good stories and most don't care about race or colour? No, they don't, Terrified Monk, because they don't care. It's all about, look at everything going on show business now. Look at the plays. Look at that Nonsense 6 we were talking about earlier, where they've just cast Dylan Mulvaney, one of the most ridiculous, attention-seeking, narcissistic, mentally unbalanced men ever, prancing around, insulting women with his stupid womanhood stuff. And they've just cast him as Anne Boleyn. And then because they got criticism immediately from sensible people, they closed down their Twitter account and called everybody an otterinist or a phobe.
Yeah.
Typical.
They can't seem to take criticism anymore, which is quite sad.
No, they can't. And I in answer to Terrified, they can't. They don't care about storytelling. They just care about preaching. And that's the whole point of this report that's come out, which has actually found that that's what the BBC does. It preaches woke, far left, tick boxing, diversity, inclusion, all that sort of stuff. But none of us are surprised. Let's put it this way, Paul.
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, certainly in terms of theatre and stuff, it's been going on for many years in terms of swapping gender or whatever. I remember read an article a few years ago about an all-female or a female Hamlet or something. And Hamlet's a man. Okay, so why has it been changed to a woman? I don't know. It's just because it's a desperate attempt to reinvent it, which is really desperate, frankly. You know,
they think they're being clever and progressive. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not being clever and they're being regressive. The clever thing to do is to keep to the history. Now, as I say, because they're so anti-British and they hate Britain and they don't like the culture of Britain because it doesn't fit their liberal viewpoint of what Britain should be, i.e. North London, right? They're redesigning it. They're rewriting it to fit their point of view. That's not big. It's not clever at all. And these people are insane. They're insane. And it's no wonder the BBC has lost over 2 million households in the last couple of years. Steve Hindley saying to us, luckily no children watch Doctor Who anymore. That's the point.
Yeah, that's good that they don't, but bad that they don't, because there's no progression of fandom. Because as Patrick Troughton once said, the reason why Doctor Who's successful is because children keep being born. That was the case originally. Yeah. So
yes, yeah. That's right. Because each successive generation came in and handed it over, as it were, didn't it? And that's why Doctor Who lasted as long as it did, 26 years of superior time travel telly. which is still viewed, found, and adored today.
Yeah. And what the current production team did, they shot themselves in the foot and closed it down, which is their own fault.
Yeah.
So,
and as we've said many times on our channel, and as many of the guys in the chat have said to us, Paul, would you be watching Jodie Whittaker and Ncuti Gatwa Doctor Who in 50 years' time? No. But I reckon you'd be watching John Pertwee, Patrick Troughton, and Tom Baker and William Hartnell.
Yeah.
In one form or another, I tell you. Frankie is telling me here that the new Wurzel was scaring kids about global warming. Why am I not surprised?
Yeah. I have to say, that's not very scary, to be fair. I remember the original Wurzel being quite dark and actually quite scary and quite black in places.
Yeah.
And I think that was great, because when we were kids, having dark dramas like Doctor Who and scary moments, they never talked down to children. It was actually, could be quite scary, quite thought-provoking, quite challenging, and quite creepy, and give you the fears, the thrills kind of thing, which was great, you know.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, I was thinking about this today when putting the show together. We lived through the Cold War.
Yeah.
Now, that was real life scary. And we're getting all these messages as well about climate change and stuff, weren't we? In the 80s, we were getting all this. We were becoming aware. But we lived through the Cold War. But did we get preached about this in children's television?
No.
Did we get preached about it in Doctor Who? Warriors of the Deep wasn't preachy.
Yeah.
It wasn't preachy at all. It managed to tie in science fiction. At 14 years old in 1984, I was sort of aware, oh, look, this is America-Russia type thing.
Yeah.
But it didn't hit me over the head like some of the stuff you get today. Do you know what I mean, Paul?
I know what you mean. I mean, it wasn't done in children's TV. If they did something like for instance, Threads, which I always talk about on this channel, which is a scary show, but that was done as a documentary drama, telling the real. This is for adults though. It was like a Play for Today type thing, like 9 o'clock or whatever, 9:30, and it was really, really well done. It was really well researched and dramatically very, very powerful. And that was a real glimpse into what could happen in reality if we went to war, you know, and that would be it, the end of civilization as we know it, you know.
Exactly. The way they're handling certain things at the moment now is just scaremongering.
Mm.
Doc Martin is saying, I work in a primary school. Yeah, I seem to recall that, mate. And not one child watches Doctor Who because I had a toy TARDIS in my office and they didn't know what it was. Now, that happened this week as well. I saw something on social media.
Yeah.
Who was it, Paul? Somebody.
It was Harry Hill on the Children's Bake Off thing, wasn't it?
Bake Off. Yeah.
About you sound like a Dalek and they didn't know what a Dalek was, which was really sad.
It was, but the lad looked at him with absolute disdain. Yeah. What are you talking about? You know, it was. We've lost it now.
Harry Hill's a big Doctor Who fan, as you know, because he's a Doctor Who on many of his shows. I think Nick Courtney appeared in one episode of one of his Harry Hill TV burp things, I think, as well. Yeah. So he's a big fan. And it's quite sad because between 2005 and classic Who finishing, the original Best Who, people had forgotten what a Dalek was, and then they brought them back in the TV show and became much more popular as they've ever been and scary again. And they've lost all of that now, which is really, really sad. You know?
Yeah, it's true. Julianne, we were shown Threads at school. That's what I might be getting it mixed up with, Roots and Threads. It might be in Threads I saw, Julianne. You might be right there. And Cara,
Threads wasn't made up.
I know, God, yeah. It could be that one we saw at school now, actually, now I'm thinking about it. Cara the Tolkien nerd, oh God, Threads. We were shown that at my school. Half the children were a sobbing mess by the end of it. I've got the feeling that it's that one now that I saw.
Yeah. I'm not surprised. It's terrifying. Yeah.
PT Music saying to us, Invasion of the Dinosaurs was educational about the planet, but not preachy.
Exactly.
It also had that sci-fi element, didn't it? With that other thing where these idiots think that they're going off onto another planet, please.
But it gave you two sides of the argument every time. You got the pros and the cons of the argument, and that's the important thing. Now you don't. You get one side of the argument. That's it.
Yeah. Steve Henley, regarding Warriors of the Deep, I think that in 2084, the two factions are normal, sensible people versus the woke loonies. God, Steve, imagine if this ridiculous far-left agenda lasts until 2084, there'll be no human race left. And Lex, thank you for your super chat. BBC ITV, forget Department S. The boss was black and gave orders to Jason King and his team. They won't even have heard of that, the people within the BBC and ITV now. They're not interested in past stuff. They're interested in rewriting the stuff, Lex.
Yeah, Jason who?
Yeah, exactly. Again, I want to remind you of something that we covered back on one of our shows, which ties in beautifully to this that's been going on yesterday and today in our country. Again, this is from back. We've reported this before, but I wanted to dig it up again because it's really, really, really relevant. Because, of course, what happened when we criticise the Isaac Newton change? Well, this did. From Bounding into Comics from 2023, Doctor Who casting director responds to criticism of race-swapped Isaac Newton. It's sad that we're in a time where people villainize minorities. Now, I want to remind you all of this because this report now shows that RTD and Andy Pryor, who was the casting director for Doctor Who for all those years, should have egg on their faces now because people have seen through what you were doing. Yeah. Now, this article went on to say, according to Doctor Who casting director Andy Pryor, the backlash to the series' race swapping of real-world historical figure Sir Isaac Newton has nothing to do with historical accuracy or a growing exhaustion with identity politics, but is instead based solely in, you guessed it, viewers' own racist attitudes.
Nonsense.
Taking place in Wild Blue Yonder, the second of 3 new Doctor Who holiday specials, helmed, or anniversary specials, as they were known here, helmed by returning showrunner RTD and produced in honor of the series' 60th anniversary. The historical revisionism in question saw the real-world English physicist brought to life by half-Indian actor Nathaniel Curtis. In doing so, portraying him not as the white man he probably was, but rather as someone of an unspecified ethnic descent. Despite his actor's noted heritage, the episode never specifically addresses the background of its race swap Newton. Well, of course it doesn't. First broaching the topic after being met with praise from Opie for how well he was able to keep Curtis's appearance a secret, the casting director explained, because it's a brief but important moment, you get an actor in and out quite quickly with parts like that. That was RTD's idea, actually, Pryor added. We had talked about trying to get Nathaniel in the show at some point, and I think it's sort of rather cheeky, but a fun interpretation of Isaac Newton. You know, it's not a historical drama. Let's just have some fun with it. Nathaniel was very game, he further recalled. He's a fan of the show, such a lovely guy, and he had a great time. From there, Opie then turned their discussion to how there's been a backlash from so-called fans of Doctor Who in regard to these particular castings, that they're too woke, for want of a better word, subsequently asking the casting director, you've engaged a bit with this discussion online, but I wondered if you had anything else to add on this response to castings such as these. In turn, Pryor asserted, it's sad that we're in a time where people villainize minorities. This sort of chatter, I'm very good at tuning it out, he told his host. And I'm also very, very happy to block people on Twitter. I don't really have any time for bigotry at all. Proceeding to broaden his argument, Pryor continued, it then becomes even more important to give people a voice and for people to be represented, especially for young people growing up who might be trans or from any minority. If they can see themselves on screen, then that can be a huge lifeline for some people. They can make them feel part of the world, which indeed they are. Social media is a bit of a dangerous place because I think people get sucked into saying things that I don't know that they truly believe, he questioned. It just becomes a game for them. Unfortunately, real life isn't a game, and I think it's important to stand up for people who are marginalized. Pryor then declared, growing up as a gay man, boring, I am as aware of anybody else of how this stuff makes you feel when you see it, how that negativity can affect you. I don't really think anyone should have to go through that. It's an important thing for me, he said. It's an important thing for RTD and the whole Doctor Who team. There are so many ways of telling a story, and the more you can introduce other ideas and other kinds of people, the more exciting it is. Receiving subsequent praise from the host regarding how the show has always been forward-thinking and progressive in that way. So it's really nice that in 2023, Doctor Who can embody that now more than ever, Pryor ultimately concluded. It always has been a show about people outside of the norm from day one, really. So we're just carrying that tradition on in a more modern way. I said it before, Paul, when we looked at that a couple of years ago. I'm going to say it again. What a load of absolute rubbish.
Yeah, can you go back to the lines in the article about bigotry and villainizing minorities? I think it was on the second page. I think it was. Was it
Hold
second
on
page?
1 second.
Sorry to be a pain.
No, it's fine. Where is it?
No, I think it was.
That's the second page there.
Maybe it's the third page. I can't remember. It was just the 2 lines. I can remember what they said. It was about it being bigotry, about complaining about this actor playing the part. I think that is absolute nonsense because this has nothing to do with bigotry at all. I don't care the fact he's in the episode. I care the fact he's not playing an accurate historical character. Yeah. This actor could be wonderful, and he seemed fine in the part. He played it reasonably well. I've no problem with the performance. It's the ethnicity I have a problem with, and he needs to, if they want to be in it, cast him as something else.
Yeah.
Also, we're not villainizing minorities. I don't care about the fact that he's in it. That's fine, but don't cast him in that part. Cast him in something else. That's all I'm saying. You know.
Yeah. Again, I mean, this thing that Andy Pryor said was just typical of their philosophy, wasn't it? And another thing about the rewriting, the revisionist of history, and not taking Doctor Who seriously as well. I think, Paul, you know, we can do this because we can, and it doesn't matter about truth in a sense, you know.
And that probably was a white man as well. It's like, well, he was. There's no probably about it.
Yeah, he was. Isaac Newton was British. He was English. He was white. Nobody's villainizing minorities, says Marie UK. It's them that are trying to villainize majorities. These idiots need to learn the majority will always win. They don't understand that the majority rules. Look at the Brexit vote. Get over it. The majority won, whether you wanted it or not. You had to get over it, but they didn't, and they fight it to this day. And that's part of the reason it wasn't successful, you know, because we all know RTD hates that decision. You know, Moondust, maybe they need to make note before a show begins. Done historical figures have been altered for dramatic purposes.
Yeah, I still don't get this theory that it's science fiction, it's okay to make it up. Like I said earlier, we were brought up with real history Doctor Who. The characters were accurate as far as we are aware. So why are they not accurate now as they were before? You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of it going around. Dalek Shalom is saying 2 words, Rosie Jones. Who asked for that? If you don't know who Rosie Jones is, and you probably don't, because I wasn't aware of her until fairly recently, to be quite honest. If you're outside the UK, Rosie Jones is an alleged comedian, and she's got some sort of condition.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but she can't talk properly or anything like this. But she's been promoted and promoted and promoted. And people are now saying it's because she ticks the box. But I have to say, from my point of view, having seen something about her, she's apparently a comedian, but she's not funny.
Yeah.
She's not funny at all. So I reckon they might have a point.
And she's claiming that other people like Ricky Gervais and people like that should not be making jokes about something they don't understand or not experienced. And I'm with John Cleese about that. You know, it's humor has to be funny. It has to have a butt of a joke to make it funny. You can joke about anything at all, and that raises conversation. When you start shutting people down, that's when you can't make any jokes and you offend everybody. And being offended is subjective. You know, so.
Exactly. I mean, this is one of the reasons she came to my attention, is because she's recently said something against Ricky Gervais and another comedian. Who was it? I can't remember who the other comedian was, who were in their act. Basically, they included in their act trans people. And if you've seen the Ricky Gervais shows, you know he does it, and it's very funny.
It is very funny.
Humor. It's funny. I don't know what the other comedian was doing because I hadn't seen that yet.
Was it Dave Chappelle? Dave Chappelle's another one who's a bit like Ricky Gervais. Who's no barriers. It's wonderful.
I can't remember. But anyway, she's come along and said, no, you're not part of that alleged community. You're not part of that alleged experience. So you shouldn't be trying to make jokes about it. Well, that's what you do when you're a comedian. And if you were a comedian, lady, you'd know that.
Yeah.
And she's now apparently she said she's a lesbian. So this is how it got onto my radar, Paul. I looked at it and thought, she's not funny.
Yeah.
But the thing she's accusing them of is probably the funniest thing she's ever said. Because she doesn't understand her own craft. Because again, she's part of the TQ cult. And oh no, you mustn't offend people. You can't say anything that might be offensive. Blah, blah, blah. You know? But that's comedy for you. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing with, I wanted to bring back the Andy Pryor thing, because it's something that we've got to remember about what he said. He called people that were complaining about the Isaac Newton unnecessary race swap. Ist. That's how they work, isn't it?
Like I said, if they wanted Nathaniel Curtis to be in Doctor Who, great, fine, lovely, get him in, but get him playing something else that's not a representative of British history, because that wasn't right, you know?
John Mason, it could have been a good sci-fi idea to have Newton as black. History has been changed, etc. They wouldn't dare do that because that would be too much on the knuckle, wouldn't it? To say, hang on a minute, history's been changed by some intergalactic villain, and various people have been changed and altered. And the Doctor, would he go back and re-alter it back to what it was? Too much of a minefield of them. They are too much of a coward to even go down that route, because it would then be changing that, and it could cause offence, couldn't it?
Yeah.
But interesting point, John. But Matt is saying to us, what Andy Pryor forgets is, on the whole, nobody objected to Sacha Dhawan becoming the Master. What a bloody idiot!
Exactly. Yeah. And then there's a bizarre thing in that, you've not seen it, but there's an episode where he's playing a German army officer, and he's parading around World War II, France, Paris, in fact, and he's got some kind of disguise on, not like a mask, but he's got some kind of like the TARDIS. Remember the TARDIS key thing they did with I forgot what it's called. Anyway, he was kind of in disguise, really, and the Doctor Jodie used a sonic to drop the disguise he had, so that the Germans would see him as he was.
Like a thing around it.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called. Yeah. And so he did that, and then the Doctor used their sonic, and it made him drop the disguise, and then the Germans saw him as an Indian person, which would have obviously caused issues within the story. But they didn't address that properly. But the Doctor was very nasty by doing that, which is very hypocritical.
The alleged Doctor.
Yeah,
she actually dropped his perception filter.
That's the one, perception filter. Yeah, drop that, and that made him as it should have looked, as he is an Indian actor, and so being a German would have
being the N word, the N word. Those
exactly,
people from the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
They would have gone after him. So effectively, that version of the Doctor left the Master with those far right,
those naughty Germans. Yes,
that's it, the naughty Germans. So she left him there.
Yeah, that's very undoctorish, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Was there an outcry over that?
No, there wasn't. Not by maybe by us, but not by the crazy people. But
I can't believe you've just told me that.
Yeah, you're not missing much.
Shocking, isn't it? Thank you, Bill, for letting me know the other comedian was Jimmy Carr. Of course it was. He doesn't care. He doesn't care either, does he? Doesn't care at all. What else have we got here? O'Kara's saying to us, Paul, you will always, JT, you will always offend someone, whatever you say. Well, I know that. Yes, I know that, because I've offended loads of people now. Not that I care, because I say what I think, and usually it's based in some sort of reality, like trans women are men.
Yeah.
Trans men are women. Isaac Newton was white. Elizabeth I was white. Anne Boleyn was a white woman. These sorts of statements, which are right and historically accurate, can offend the weak-minded, I find. Cara also saying, a fanfic I wrote offended someone and they reacted badly. Well, let's film it. Well, that sounds good. That sounds good to me.
We've had enough fanfic on TV for the past 2 series. Thank you very much.
Yeah. But the whole thing that Cara brings up there about being offended, it's all right for them to offend the majority, isn't it? That's acceptable. That's allowed. But if you say something which upset them, they go, all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, what's that line? Is a line about altering the facts to fit the situation, whatever. The Doctor says that and robots are death or something like that. And it's just, that's a classic example of what's going on, isn't it?
Exactly. It's interesting that there was no fuss over that example you just gave me about Whittaker Who and Chibnall Who.
Yeah.
Where the character has left. I mean, I hate to think what happened to the Master in the context of the story.
Exactly.
Because of the body he was wearing.
Yeah.
And I think that they didn't explain it, or they didn't show him getting out of it.
They didn't. Yeah, because the Master would get, to say the least, a stiff kicking at the very least, which is awful, They
would have just eventually eliminated him.
Yeah, they would have killed him.
For being different.
Yeah.
Have we seen the character since?
Yes, he Yeah, he turns up in the last. He's in a couple of stories before end of a run, but he's in the last one that all the doctors appear in with
Right.
McGann, etc. And then
So
Tennant
was it
turns up at the
explained how
end.
he got
Yeah.
away from the nasty Germans?
No, like always, they never explain that. Yeah, you escaped
Right.
from Castrovalva. Let's move on. Okay.
Yeah. Typical
Yeah,
laziness, then, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just want to add something else here into the show about for balance, basically. For balance, everybody. This is from a while ago, but I've had this in the records, as it were, from a while ago. From The Independent, back on the 9th of October 2014, the BBC was in a race row then as white actor plays black role. Black actors were confused and angry. Now, Paul, I don't know if you remember this, but I do remember this. And there was a sort of mini outrage about how dare you take a white man and put him in a black man's role. And the industry at the time was shaky about it. About how dare you, how dare you, how dare you. Now, this is before it really started to go the other way. And then they all start to conveniently forget it. And they forget in their own outrage. And again, the hypocrisy of these people. But I'm bringing it in. I'm bringing it in because I've got the story. And this was the story here. The BBC was attacked for casting a white actor in a role originally written for a black one in a new thriller. Danny Lee Winter, who set up diversity campaign Act for Change, said black actors were confused and understandably angry when Edward Holcroft was chosen for London Spy after many of those actors auditioned. He said the part was originally advertised for an immensely talented non-Caucasian actor, and auditions had taken place for what was described as a pivotal role in this brilliant original drama series. He claims some black actors had been in serious talks. Mr. Winter, 32 at the time, said to change the race of a character seems a cavalier decision to make, especially so very late in the casting process. This is Edward Holcroft. I'm sure you remember him. He was in those wonderful, what's it called, the Kingsman films.
Oh, yeah.
The first two of those. So that was him. He was cast in London Spy all those years ago. And just to remind you again, what that person said, Mr. Winter there, from Act for Change, to change the race of a character seems a cavalier decision to make. It may seem like one small thing, but once again, this highlights the subtle, repeated erosion of opportunities available for Black British artists, he said. Writer Tom Rob Smith responded, the character originated without any specific race, but as I continued writing, a particular story took hold, which required a black character. However, during the rewriting of the final episodes, the plot changed and he became a white character. A BBC spokesman said, the BBC supports the creative freedom of its writers. The BBC is committed to diversity and has set targets to increase BAME portrayal on screen from 10.4% to 15% in the next 3 years that we believe will make a tangible difference. That was 2014, everybody.
Really? As far back as that? My God.
Yeah,
I do vaguely remember this story, actually. Yes, I do.
See, 9th of October 2014 there, Paul. But yes, it's that far back. And obviously before that, the BBC had got hold of all this diversity inclusion stuff here. But can you see the parallels to viewers? Can you see what we're illustrating here?
And the bizarre thing about this is it's not like the actor ended up playing the character and blacked up to play the part. He wasn't doing that. He was just swapped in the story to change the character's description, which is fine. You know, that's okay. But then surely it works the same way. For instance, if James Bond's been white the entire time, and then you make James Bond a black character, then a black version of James Bond, which is fine if you want to do that. But surely that's okay. Because he was never black before. So if you're going to change it, you can change it either way, and that's just reverse blind casting, surely, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I thought this was a nice article. You know, I've had this for such a long time, as I say, and I thought this was a nice article because I just thought it shows again how Hippocratic these people are and the hypocrisy of the entire industry. But there was a small fuss about this. I remember at the time, I was like, oh gosh. But then when I read that the writer had decided, well, actually, the character's gone this way now, you know, and it's an original character.
Yeah.
as far as I'm aware.
And if the writer has changed the way he's written it, that's entirely up to the writer, surely. That's
Yes.
his vision.
Yes.
So that should be allowed, you know?
But this is where we're at now, Paul. And I know this from my experience. You can write stories, you can write scripts, but a lot of the time people will come back and say, oh yeah, that's a great script. However, it needs this. And that's where the clipboard comes out with all the tick box thing.
Yeah.
And you can turn around and say, no, that's not how I've written this. No,
Yeah.
I'm not shoehorning these people in because it makes no sense to the narrative of the play.
Yeah.
And then you won't get funding.
Yeah.
It's shocking, isn't it, Who viewers? Why does BAME always mean black, says Matthew Pounder? That term itself here in the UK was jettisoned a few years back after 2014 when people started complaining it didn't represent them properly.
Not enough letters, clearly. So.
We can tell from social media and news reports as well that what are called ethnic minorities don't like being lumped together.
Right. Yeah. And
that's where the complaints came from. It actually came from that target audience that had been labelled by somebody, BAME, whether it be the civil service or whether it be show business or wherever it was originated from. It was supposed to be, oh, you can't say that anymore. Oh, for heaven's sake. You know, it's gone too far, hasn't it, Matthew? It's just
people constantly overanalyze things. That's part of the problem. And it's like, spend more time thinking about real important things and not trivial bollocks, honestly.
Yeah. But it's gone too far. I think I've said before on the show, Paul, around about the late 90s, or certainly the turn of the century, I was in a meeting of senior management, and we were being introduced by some very enthusiastic HR representative to what we now know as DEI. And it was in its basic forms. And the big things that I agree with was making sure that we had ramps for wheelchair users and that lifts were always operative and all this sort of stuff, right? Because we were trying to get at that point people with disabilities into the workplace to show, look, you can work. And remote working, remote working was in its infancy. How can we get people to work for us if they can't leave their house? So it was in the infancy there. But I remember certain people around me who will now be retired, and I hope they're all very happy, because they were saying, we've got to be careful with this because this could go too far.
Yeah.
And as a young man myself at the problem, and actually quite left, as we all are when we're younger, I remember thinking, oh, it's not going to go like that. No, you're wrong. They were absolutely bloody 100% right, because we've gone completely ridiculous.
I'm actually surprised, JT, that there's not been a court case about positive discrimination being negative towards white people. It's going to come, Yeah.
It might be going on just now. You never know. It might be out there already. PT Muzak is saying, I honestly believe we're in an alternate universe. What's happening now, you couldn't make it up, or you could in a dystopian society. You're not the only one that thinks that. I've said this to the guys off screen as well. We're heading towards Blade Runner territory in our world. We're as a dystopian society, that's where we're going. Lord of the Flies, you can throw everything at it, really, can't you? But there we go. It is a nightmare, and I don't think it's going to get any better soon, to be perfectly honest. Wow. I hope you've enjoyed what we've given you there, and we've had a look back at our very first show, which was on the January the 4th, 2024, everybody, where we actually were talking about the then BBC being accused of feeding viewers a diet of woke bias, which they denied. And then this week, through the Telegraph publishing on Thursday, it's come out that an actual report commissioned by the BBC backed that up. And are they going to do anything about it? No, they're not going to do a thing about it, are they? Not a thing, because they don't care. They really don't. If you want to get in touch, please do. It's whosviews1@gmail.com. We've got another show lined up for you tomorrow. Oh, Mark McIntosh is saying to us, look, we're actually living in 1984.
We are indeed. Yeah.
In all sorts of ways. Who'd have thought it? And Julianne, Carousel is just around the corner.
Well, I'm too old for that. That's Logan's Run, if you're wondering what that is. Yeah. So
Yes. Yeah.
I'd be dead 13 years ago. Yeah, probably. But
is it the age 30 in Logan's Run? You
30. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And John Mason correctly saying 2 and 2 equals 5, and don't you forget it.
Yeah.
Sheila B in the devotions is going, ooh, more tomorrow. Because she does that. Ooh, more tomorrow.
We should review Logan's Run. That's a classic movie as well.
It's a great film, actually. We should do at some point, shouldn't we? We should do. But yes, more tomorrow. I just want to say, because I really do like his avatar, because it's something else that's coming onto our radar. Davey B, evening chaps, hope you're well tonight. I've just gone in from work. Well, I hope work went well for you. You can go back and watch this particular show now, Davey. Absolutely. But that's Robin of Sherwood from Michael Praed's last one. I love his avatar.
Of course, right. Love it.
Yes, great episode. I've had some emails, Paul, asking about Robin. Yes, we are going to be reviewing Robin of Sherwood when I can get it in the schedule, because I love it. 3 years of brilliance, I tell you. So we are going to be doing that. But yeah, gosh, Hearn's son and all that sort of stuff. Cara's saying she missed the email address. Oh, well, that's easy enough, Cara, because it's here. whosviews1@gmail.com. I'll leave that there for you for a second. whosviews1@gmail.com. Yeah. Smashing. We are back with your big show on Sunday, tomorrow, live at 8 o'clock here in the channel. Come and join us. We've got more to talk about tomorrow because there's been lots of news. Who'd have thought it? Well, we did, quite frankly, didn't we? We knew that they were going to keep us busy. Absolutely.
Just wait till they start filming the Christmas special. That'll be fun.
Yes, and that's going to be soon from what I've been told. Oh, and I just want to tell you as well, actually, everybody who viewers, I was speaking to I've heard.
Tell me later.
I've heard. I mentioned this report that we've been talking about tonight to oh God, I can't say it anyway. To somebody I know who works, and he said to me, "They're not going to give a not going to give a." He said about this. Says it all, doesn't it? Says it all. He's on our page as well. He thinks it's gone all too far, but he says, "Oh, they're not going to give a." Typical, isn't it? Absolutely typical. But I think we all knew that. Steve Hindley is saying to us, "One day, whose views shall return?" Yes, they will return tomorrow here on the channel, live at 8 o'clock. Paul, thanks for joining me tonight. Great conversation. I hope you enjoyed the show.
I did. Thank you very much. I enjoyed it. Yeah, that nice impromptu show tonight. Yeah. Nice.
Yes, because there was lots to talk about. We would have been here for about 6 hours tomorrow, I think, if we'd done it all on a Sunday night. But no, we are back tomorrow at 8 o'clock live. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up for this particular show. Please make sure you're subscribed. If you're new to us, please subscribe. This is something we will be coming back to because this isn't going anywhere. This is the BBC we're talking about. And we are going to be looking at the BBC continually as we go through this year because a lot's happening in the BBC as well. A lot is happening, including the interim controllers and all this sort of stuff. So let's have a look and see what's going to be happening there. From Paul and myself, thank you so much for joining us this Saturday evening. We'll see you tomorrow live at 8 for headlines on Sunday. So from us, ta-ra everyone. Take care. See you tomorrow.
Good night, folks. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.